Fun Kelly, get caught in the fray. Facts and logic with a twist of chest. Strip it down to truth, yeah, forget the rest. Humor blows the lies right out of the park. Look beyond the shadows, dissect the dark. Sparks of laughter fire up the night, bringing clarity when they blur the fight. Cut through the chaos, yeah, the tangled lies. Steam Fun Kelly with a set of clear eyes. Truths and jokes gonna rock this show. Step into light where the real facts flow.
Hello. Happy Thursday. Hope your day is doing okay. It is Thursday. That's the day, but it's also a day I like to call pre-Friday. So the end of the week draweth nigh. So it's at least you can taste it, right? You can taste the weekend. It's not here yet, but it's almost here. So there's something. In case you haven't heard, because you've been cloistered away, hiding from the world, Donald Trump is going to give a speech tonight, and he's going to explain how the 2020 election was stolen, rigged, influenced. I guess he's going to blame it on China now. Which I just feel like this is an important thing to factor into this conversation. Donald Trump was president in 2020. Does he know that? Does he know that? Let's say what he said is true. Okay? Let's just say for a second whatever he has to say tonight is true, and that China rigged the election in 2020 somehow. How is that not his fault? Like, you know, I mean, it has nothing to do with the Democrats. It would have been his intelligence agencies that let it happen. It's just, I mean, it's not true. But even if it were true, it would still be his fault. There's this, I've noticed this trend that the more Donald Trump spirals into insanity, the more MAGA follows him down the drain. They're getting increasingly deranged in their mentality. It's just, it's like a nutball competition, and they all get participation trophies. And anyway, my point is, just hear me out now. There is a non-zero chance that Donald Trump will say things tonight that are not 100% the God's honest truth and the whole truth. Just a possibility. Be open for that possibility. Don't think that just because Donald Trump said something that it's true, because he has problems in the past with not being entirely forthright and honest. Just a thought. Do with it what you want. But so I wanted to play a little game today. And just throw out a poll, or a pool, you know, like an over-under pool type thing. How many times do you think Donald Trump will be less than honest tonight? You know, how many things will he say tonight that are not the God's honest truth? So if you have a guess, throw it out in the comments, and we'll see tomorrow who wins. Brett, hello, Brett. It's speculated he's going to say that China helped the Democrats rig the 2020 election tonight and nullify Dems elections across the country. Yeah, they're saying something about China. And that's why I bring up who is president? Like if China stole the election on Donald Trump's watch, doesn't that make it Donald Trump's fault? And like what we do know for a fact that's already been investigated and proven is that Russia manipulated the 2016 electorate, not the voters, but the electorate. It sounds from my understanding, which I don't have access to top secret information, but according to the people that have access to the top secret information, China kind of dabbled in that, but not to the same degree as Russia did in 2020. And Russia also dabbled in the 2020 election as well. It's not like they said, we learned our lesson and backed off. And one other thing that I would like to point out, and I know that some facts do not sit well with MAGAs, but this is a fact that we knew this in 2020 ahead of the election, like that China was trying to manipulate the elections and that Russia was trying to get involved. These are not new things. There's nothing new that I'm aware of. There is nothing new coming out tonight. Now, if you listen to what's her name, Carolyn Levitt, there's like shocking evidence or something. There won't be any shocking evidence. So you can just take my word for that. That is not going to happen. There won't be like absolute evidence that China and the Democrats coordinated together to overturn the elections. No, that is not going to happen. It's just not. It's not. I know that because it would be impossible. I know that Donald Trump will manipulate things and try to present some kind of case like that. But as I've said before, Donald Trump has as troubled a relationship with the truth as he does his first two wives, and maybe his third. Chill. Oh, so this is an emoji. It was a chill W cat. I only can read them. They don't render on my restream. Many refuse to watch. I am definitely not going to watch. I'll catch the highlights on Aaron's feed and Asen's feed. I'm sure they'll have plenty of clips. I'll just keep up with the highlights on Blue Sky and YouTube and Twitter. But I can't sit there and listen to that man live for that long. Simple. The government creates a free voting ID in which includes a U.S. citizen. I think that if they did that, that's fine. It's not really what we're talking about, but I do think I wouldn't have an issue with voter IDs if every U.S. citizen could get a voter ID. But right now, every U.S. citizen cannot get an ID, and that's why I have problems with some of these laws. If you'll cheat on your wives, you'll cheat on the country. And he'll cheat on his wives. He cheats on his taxes. He cheats on his investors. He cheats on banks. He cheats on everything. He cheats at golf. There's nothing he won't cheat. So what makes me think that he won't cheat the elections? Nothing. That man is a cheater. Full-blown cheater. How many times have you fell for the "we got him this time" story over and over? Is the Russian collusion in the... No, the Russian collusion is not in the room with me because it didn't happen in this room. How many times will you ignore what he did? This is not a "we got him" thing, or he's saying he's the one making the allegations, first of all, Gary. The second thing, Gary, is that the Russian collusion, nobody said Russian collusion except for him. It was Russian interference that was investigated, and it was investigated by his DOJ, opened the Mueller investigation. His DOJ, Jeff Sessions, appointed Mueller. And then a Republican-led Senate investigation found that Russia interfered with the investigation, and that there was many meetings between the Trump campaign and the people from Russia that were meddling in the investigations. I don't know how many times, like just saying stuff like this, how many times have you fell for the "we got him"? How many times have you fell for this kind of little loop-de-loop, Gary? Russia did interfere. It's not me falling for anything. It is you failing to even look at the evidence. At least 60 fibs and about 40 big overreaching lies. And I think there might be some outright lies too. I think there may be like a few things that he'll say where it's sort of, you know, like they're like a good lie has a kernel of truth to it, but you use that kernel of truth to propagate a lie. And so I call that lying by telling the truth, where you use a true thing to cause somebody to think something that is untrue. Your intention is to deceive by only stating part of the truth. He may even give himself the Peace Prize since he ended Iran war. Like nobody, I would give him this. Nobody in American history has ended more wars the same time than Donald Trump has. He has ended all these wars, and he can still end them again. That's the amazing thing. Like every single war he's ended, he can end a second, third, or 45th time. I pop in, yet presidential announcements were supposed to be sparing because they're an important tool. Like we're in unprecedented times. Here's an idea I had, Dusty, that I just had this idea right before I popped on tonight or today, and here, get some feedback on this. What do you guys think if when we had like a presidential address, they had to take an oath before they gave a presidential address so that they could only say what was true, and if they lied on about something, then you could try them for perjury. Like what if presidential addresses had to be given under oath so that people couldn't lie to the American people? And I mean that across presidents. So when Bill Clinton said I had no, I didn't have sexual relationships with that woman, that would be a lie. He wouldn't be able to say, he'd be under oath. Can't we all just sing, let it go, let it go, let it go? I wish we could, but apparently Donald Trump can't let 2020 go. He just cannot admit publicly that he lost. He lost. He lost to a man he despises. One thing I think about why Donald Trump hates Joe Biden so much, because his hatred for Joe Biden escapes any rational thought. Like even before Joe Biden announced he was going to run, Donald Trump was out there trying to extort an investigation out of Zelensky into Joe Biden's son. Like Joe Biden didn't even announce he was going to run for election yet. And most people didn't think he was going to. But he tried to extort Zelensky to investigate Hunter Biden on just totally fake stuff. And so I've been wondering, why does he hate Joe Biden that much? Why has he hated Joe Biden that much? And I think it stems back to his hatred of Barack Obama. And this also kind of ties in why somebody was explaining, I think I can't remember who it was a black congressman that was explaining why Joe Biden was doing so well with the black voters in the 2020 election, in the primary. And he was saying that what Joe Biden did was he when he was Barack Obama's vice president, he just didn't try to upstage him or anything. He He let Barack Obama be the president, and he was the vice president. And so just a white man being subject to a black man, just without any qualifications, without any misgivings, without any, pushback, and as was appropriate for any president, vice president, he behaved in that manner. And he was saying that that's something you don't see a lot. Not just where a white man is sort of patronizingly and condescendingly obsequious to their black superior, but to actually be legitimately, honestly deferential to their black superior. That is a very rare thing to see in our society, and to see the vice president have that relationship with the president was pretty remarkable. And that's why he was popular with the black people, and with black people. Kelly, no, okay. All right. All centralized systems are failed. I don't tend to buy into any generalities like that, which is generality, but as a rule, generalities are overstatements. True, nothing new. Old diaper Don is just trying to lay the blanket statements over America before he tucks it in. And whatever he says tonight, MAGA will be regurgitating tomorrow as though it's evidence. It's like I said, they're spiraling right down with him. The more demented and insane and ludicrous he sounds, they refuse to go along with it. There's what's the guy? There's this redhead kid. Can't think of his name right now. He's got a thing where he talks to Republicans all the time. He had a guy on there, and he asked him, what would it take can Donald Trump do anything that would make you not approve of him? And the guy says, well, that all depends on what it was. And he says, what if he raped a child? And the Trump supporters said, that would all depend on the context. Like, that's how insane they are. To them, they could there is a way for them to rationalize Donald Trump raping children. ID is not a problem, and it's really not. And it's actually not an issue either way. I actually kind of pivoted a little bit away from this because the Congressional Budget Office did, like studies of states that have passed voter ID laws, which I think right now 38 of them have voter ID laws. And basically they found it doesn't really change things one way or the other. It doesn't keep voters from voting, and it doesn't keep non-voters from voting. And it doesn't catch voter fraud or whatever. It doesn't change anything. It's just a useless law that costs a lot of money. Show us proof of lying liberals. Dude, I've shown proof of Donald Trump lying over and over and over again. I mean, I can't show you proof of lying for what he has not said yet. I am just speculating that he lies. But if you want proof that he's never lied, just Google, Trump lies. Both sides are corrupt and cheat. That's what is the point of that? Both sides, like, people on both sides are corrupt and cheat. There are some people on both sides that don't cheat and aren't corrupt. It's a non-starter. Sorry. Yeah, that's a meaningless statement. There are people that don't lie on both sides, and there are people that don't cheat on both sides. Nobody believes you anymore because you're lying. Okay, then tell me how I am lying. Please. If I am lying, first of all, I don't lie. I don't say things that are untrue deliberately. So if I say something that's wrong, feel free to correct me and I will look into it. I'll look into it right on the air if you want. But I don't lie. But I noticed that this is like like MAGAs. They do this thing where they just generally, shout out the word lie anytime they hear something that they don't agree with or they don't know or they don't think is true. That doesn't mean I'm wrong and they're right. I mean, I tend to study this stuff before I go on my stream and talk about it. I am fairly confident in everything I say. I'm not saying that it's impossible for me to be wrong. I've been wrong about some things, but I don't know what I'm lying about right now. Are you saying there wasn't an investigation, a Republican-led investigation into Russian interference in the 2016 election? Because there was. I mean, all you have to do is Google that and you will find out that it's true. Whatever he says tonight, he's going to say Obama or Biden. Yeah. And I don't think in a favorable term. And he will just I doubt he will acknowledge that he, not Biden and not Obama, was president in 2020. No one is. So Walter says no one is cheating. And I really wish that I see Republicans that deny the 2020 election, and I see Democrats that deny the 2024 election. And I don't just think there is no cheating. I don't think you really can cheat, because I spent about 2 days like really diving into the mechanics of what you would have to do. And this is what nobody will talk about. They'll kind of generally say Starlink, but Starlink isn't connected to the voting booths. And every single voting machine in every state but Louisiana, I believe, either every state has either a paper ballot or a paper printout of your ballot, that when they do the recount, they can go to the paper ballots and count those paper ballots. No hacking is going to change the paper ballots. Rigging an election would be almost impossible. There are roughly, you figure 150 million votes in the last couple of elections. And what I want to say, if I'm going off of memory, I might be wrong, but I think it's around 200,000 precincts in America. And so if you do the math, it's like an average of around 750 votes per precinct. I'm not talking about, like the actual polling places, right? And so then if you were to tweak each one about 10%, that'd be like 75 votes per polling place. And if you did much more than that, then you'd really it would really screw things up, right? You would make it so obvious that, like, you can't just have a bunch of precincts that are 100% for one side or the other. And so you'd have to, like, just one state, I think I figured out you'd have to have like 700 or 800 of these polling stations in perfectly targeted precincts. And you'd have to have like 6 or 7 people at a minimum in each of these. And so you'd be talking about like 5,000 people that have to be involved to just rig one state. And they'd have to be computer experts or whatever. You'd have to come up with a methodology. Each state would have to have its own league of people, because every state does things differently, and you'd have to know their voting laws and how to change it. It just becomes ridiculously impossible. And so, because you'd have to like talk to people to get them to do that, and every person you talk to could go to the FBI. And so you'd have to like be able to talk to all these people. You'd have this rash of, new volunteers in all of these precincts that, mysteriously have different results than were expected. Anyway, I just think it's impossible. Time to get rid of both parties. Well, I mean, that's an easy thing to say, but what if you get rid of both parties, what happens? What happens? You get new parties, and it's just there's a poem by Robert Frost that says, I support a semi-revolution. The problem with a total revolution is, ask any reputable Rosicrucian, the same people always end up on top. And so his point is, he's talking about like a revolution of a wheel, right? And so a revolution, a total revolution, is the wheel goes round and around, and then it just comes back up on top. And he's comparing a political revolution to the revolution of a wheel. It's actually a really, like Robert Frost didn't usually get political. It's one political poem. And the Rosicrucian is a philosopher. So and that happens to rhyme with revolution. So his point is, the problem with revolutions is you just change the players. You don't change the game. We need to like go halfway. And he said the best revolutions are the ones that go halfway and stop. After he says the same people always end up on top, he says the best revolutions go halfway and stop. So that's what a semi-revolution is. It only goes halfway. Anyway, I think it's a good poem. If you believe anything from the government, well, I don't know. I'm not talking about the government. I'm talking about Donald Trump's own face. Words that come from his face. I support the current thing. Okay, whatever. That's going on the bingo card. Shouldn't you be wearing your mask? Trust the science. Yeah. This is like nonsense, Oh, you said it without a mask on. Oh, I get clever points for being clever. And he's got the Ukraine flag in there. Is your mother binary? When I say that, I'm not asking about it in a sexual way. I'm just wondering if your mother's a bot like you are. There are no bots. Both parties lie. Okay. Parties don't lie. Parties are not singular people. People from both parties lie. All right. We're not talking about parties. We're talking about Donald Trump. So are you okay with both parties? Like what is this? Is one of the MAGA ways of deflecting, is they'll say, well, both sides do it. Well, okay, is it right or wrong? Wag the dog. Yes, and this is going to be some wagging of the proverbial dog, which, by the way, if you never saw the movie and you don't get the reference, it's a highly, like a couple of movies you really need to watch that are parodies of today that were made before today. Wag the Dog and Idiocracy. It's like we're in a Wag the Dog Idiocracy state of affairs right now. Will Trump lie tonight? This should be a short show. The answer is yes. So here's the we're running a poll. Or a pool, and the question is, how many times will Donald Trump lie? But this guy's, the guy that's still talking about masks is calling me the broken record, because I'm saying that Donald Trump, who won't shut up about the 2020 election and has been repeating the same lies, is giving a speech tonight to repeat the same lies. Get some new material, infidel. Both parties, oh, goodness gracious. Response to the question, I think we should. That's a good idea because of how important presidential announcements are. So if you weren't here when I first proposed the idea, and I've said this should go across presidents, and it would apply to Bill Clinton or Barack Obama or Joe Biden or Donald Trump. And definitely to George W. Bush and there's no evidence, or there's no doubt they have weapons of mass destruction. Anytime that a president gives a national address, they should be required to do so under oath. Like I think that would solve so many problems. That would solve so many problems. Liberals are crying. Yeah, I don't see anybody crying because he's a bleeping vegetable. Hey, Mitch McConnell, how you doing? Joe Biden is a liar, just like, okay, so what? Joe Biden was and did everything improving the economy Trump couldn't. Yeah, and Joe Biden is not. This is what I mean. They deflect. They cannot engage in a conversation about Donald Trump's dishonesty. What about Joe Biden? Okay, if you think Joe Biden was a liar, and you'd criticized Joe Biden for being a liar, and you're criticizing me for inconsistently saying that Donald Trump is a liar, but not Joe Biden is a liar, then aren't you the actual hypocrite here? Like, what is the difference? MAGA uses this kind of double standard, I call it, where they sit there and they say, you have a double standard, therefore I'm entitled to one. Either lying is wrong or it's not. If it's not wrong, then you should defend Donald Trump you should defend Joe Biden when he does it. White people are under attack. No, they're not. Well, actually, they are. Renee Good was white. Alex Preddy was white. They're under attack by our government. They're under attack by ICE. They're under attack for using their free speech. But no, MAGA white people are not under attack. YouTube just whacked 20 bots off the chain. Wow. Good job, YouTube. If Trump is talking, he is lying. I should have actually had the poll be, how many times will Donald Trump tell the truth tonight? Because I think the answer is a very probable 0. He might say a couple of things like, we have evidence that China spread misinformation, which is true. We knew that in 2020 when Donald Trump wasn't doing anything about it. Because, again, I remind you, Donald Trump was president in the year of our Lord, 2020. He was president, not Joe Biden. Okay, MAGA, can you get that? Like, I know the space-time continuum is not your friend, but Donald Trump was president during the shutdowns. Donald Trump was president in 2020 when the election occurred. If Democrats are stealing elections, how can they only do it when Donald Trump is president? MAGA strong all day long. Ooh, go Stephen. Dean. AOC was the first female vice president. Geraldine Ferraro is the first femme nominee. Are you saying AOC will be the first female vice president? I never thought that I would have fantasies about the vice president, but, she's beautiful and intelligent. I can see why Republicans hate her, because they probably don't like that they secretly harbor crushes on her. I'm not making a secret of it. I harbor a crush. Don't tell my wife. This dude 100% supports Israel. Whatever that means, how you came to that conclusion, why you're using that as an attack. I mean, it's just, what is that nonsense? What is that even supposed to mean, and why are you saying it? Period. AOC, if you actually ever listen to AOC, she is actually a very intelligent woman, very well informed, and she has a lot of very smart things to say. Maybe that's why she gets such an audience, because people with like actual ears and open brains realize a lot of what she says is very, very valid. I think that people that dismiss her, I dismiss her out of hand. The name fits, but you choose to be mentally bankrupt. Oh, mental hobo, the name fits, but yeah. Dusty just owned you. I hope you know that. Republicans have the House, the Senate, and the presidency, and they're still crying voter fraud without proving there is any. And now they've gone from massive voter fraud to, well, just because we can't prove it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And then if there's any at all, if hypothetically there is any, then that's too much. And it's like, no, that's not really, if anybody murders anybody, then nobody should be able to leave their homes ever, like, because one murder is too many. There's actually the Anderson. I can't remember. What is the? Let me. Hang on, I'm just looking something up here. So there's a couple of law Anderson-Burdick balancing test. All right. I know that MAGAs don't like it when I, talk about history and facts and stuff, but here's a little bit for you. There was a case involving John Anderson, who was running as an independent. And I think it was it was either Indiana or Ohio. And I think it was Indiana. Pretty sure it was Indiana. And they had the deadline to get the petitions for the ballots so early, like unreasonably early, that independent and third parties couldn't get on because they just didn't have time to get all the petitions. The major parties did, the Republican and Democrat Party, because they're the massive parties. But it was like plenty of time, like a year before the ballots were even printed or something. So John Anderson, who was running as a third-party independent, went before Ross Perot. He was the third-party independent that had gotten the most votes in U.S. history. And I think it was 84. It was 1980 against Jimmy Carter and Ronald Reagan. He was on that ballot. And might have been 84. One of the two. Anyway, he ran, and Indiana said he couldn't be on the ballot because he missed the deadline for the petitions. And so he sued the state and won, saying that the voters were being denied the right to vote for him. Or I don't think he sued. Maybe he did sue because it says Anderson. Anyway, he won. He won that vote, that thing. And the Supreme Court said that Indiana was denying these voters the right to vote for who they wanted to vote for. And then there was another case where there was a guy named Burdick in Hawaii who wanted to write. Hawaii had a law that they didn't count write-in votes, and you could vote a write-in vote, but they didn't count them because it was just an expense to the state. And there weren't enough write-in votes that anybody was going to change anything. And if you had enough votes, then you could get on the ballot. If you had enough support, you could get on the ballot. And so they argued, the guy's lawyer said, you could be able to vote for Donald Duck and have that counted. And the Supreme Court said, no, this is actually an undue burden on the state because there's this expense of having to pay people to go through and count all of these ballots and tally them up. And so there is a scale of the voters' rights versus the state's right when it comes to these voting laws, right? Like, what is the state's rights for security, for integrity, and all of that kind of stuff, and for deciding how to run the election versus the voters' rights to be able to vote. And that's called the Burdick-Anderson scale. And so it's generally, you have to have something way on the state side. The burden for the state has to be really strong to deny the voters the rights to the voters' rights. And so the idea of, the SAVE Act and things like that, and non-citizens voting, there are so few non-citizens voting. Like, we're talking maybe a couple a year versus the number of people that are being disenfranchised, which would be a couple of million per year. That the Burdick-Anderson scale would be way on the Anderson side. It would be like full tilt on the Anderson side. Oh, we need to stop 2 million people from voting so that these 2 people don't vote. Like, that is not voter integrity. That is voter selection. And that is a violation. That's the opposite of integrity. You can't sit there and talk about election integrity and then deny 2 million people the right to vote. That's the opposite of integrity. So I don't even think the SAVE Act would hold up in this court because of the judicial precedent and stuff. And, like, even 1 is too many. No, I'm sorry. Even 1 disenfranchised voter is too many. How's that? Kamala Harris. My brain mixes these 2 ladies up too much. I claim Kamala, even though she's technically not Gen X. I like to claim Kamala as Gen X. You know who I've been thinking about? Like, I've been like just taking race, gender, and all that kind of stuff, because you get some people that are like, we can't have a white man voting, or, we can't have a gay man voting, or we can't have a black woman voting, we can't have a woman voting, can't have, like, it's one, if you take out everybody that can't run because of their race or gender, the Democrats just can't run anybody, that would satisfy everybody. But so taking all of that out, just looking at the different candidates and their electability and their platforms and their leadership, I have really been drawn to Jon Ossoff lately. Jon Ossoff is out there kicking some butt, and he is not compromised. He's not compromising, and he knows how to talk to the MAGAs, and he knows how to talk to the centrists. I really like Jon Ossoff. Right now, if I had to go and vote for somebody in the primary and he were running, my vote would go to Jon Ossoff. Who do you guys think? Why should tonight be different from any other night? It won't be. He lies every time he opens up his mouth. The 350-foot gash in the pole are tire trucks from a 10-ton limousine. What is this? Is this something new? Tell me more, Brett. What MAGA doesn't know about is basically everything. They know about testosterone. Did you hear Pete Hegseth's testosterone motivational speech or whatever? What is with the MAGA obsession with testosterone anyway? It's so weird. It's like Tim Walz had it right. MAGA is just weird. And they're getting weirder, and they're getting more and more like just off they have nothing. They're completely like it's like pudding is floating around in their skull because they claim he's going to try to nullify democratic elections across the country to cement his regime. Yeah, he is terrified of investigations right now. I think that much is clear. This could go very badly and escalate quickly. And he asked for $350 million extra dollars to the defense spending, in part so that they can defend against communism within our own shores. And he's calling Democrats communists. I can't help but hear that and think he wants to use the military against people that disagree with him. He wants to use the military against his opposition. And you've got Pete Hegseth out there filtering out anybody in the military that would say, no, we can't do that. There is like, and they wonder why we cry about fascism, or we cry about fascism, why we actually point out that he's fascist. Hitler took over a democracy and turned it into a fascist country. Mussolini took over a democracy and turned it into a fascist country. They got there by different means, but they both took over a democracy and turned it into fascist countries. Kamala was the first actual vice president, and Geraldine Ferraro was the first female selected by Democratic presidential nominees. Right. If MAGA, I remember Geraldine Ferraro. She was sharp. If MAGA accepted outside opinions, their family and friends would reject them. And Kamala was also the first, no, second candidate. I'm sorry, Hillary was the first nominee. If MAGA accepted outside opinions, their family and friends would reject them. They are literally scared of the truth because it would ostracize them. We tend to clean the house and get rid of most of the politicians on both sides. These politicians are only there for a paycheck. Voting machines are not networked, right? They're not. They are very. You'll see every once in a while. Oh, these people proved that a voting machine can be hacked, but you can't hack a machine that you don't have access to. They don't have like this world-class security against being hacked because they can't be accessed except they're walled off. They literally have no connection to the internet. Elon tried to rig Wisconsin's election. Now they are going to charge him. He tried to I think this is more, he tried to pay voters. It's not like he tried to change the election results or something, or hack the election results. They cheat by using the law. Organizations like True the Vote create suppressive voting laws. They made it legal for regular people to challenge another person's vote. Greg Palast did an investigation. Yes, I like Greg Palast. There's a book Greg Palast wrote on the 2020 election, if you've never read it, or the 2000 election, that just totally, if you haven't, like, people talk about election rigging and stuff. Read his book. Did you know this? In the 2000 election, remember the whole thing about the hanging chads and how the like they do the punch ballot, the butterfly ballot, and they punch through the hole, and then some of the little tabs didn't fall out, go through all the way. They used a different weighted paper, like the Democratic counties had a heavier bond weight than Republican counties. So Republican counties had fewer, of those hanging chad problems. And it's like, there's no reason. And this was like deliberate. Why did they do that? Like, and there were some other things about purging voter rolls and stuff like that. There were a lot of things that were behind the scenes that never got the national media coverage. And then Jeb Bush was the brother of the presidential candidate and the governor of Florida. He never recused himself. There's some issues to that 2000 election. If you want to talk about rigging an election, it's the state that can do it. Not by changing the vote count, but changing the votes that count. I like that. That's what they're trying. That's what Trump is trying to do right now. He's not trying to change the vote count. He's trying to change the votes that count. Brian Kemp shared a list of names with another politician between two states and challenged and removed thousands of people votes whose names marched on the list. Yeah. You're talking about him voting, like the purging the voting rolls. I'm member 001. Mike, I checked, and yes, you're completely right about Dusty. Let's do the apostrophe. Come on, remember the war on apostrophes. Many of us have come out of retirement to round up the leftist, corrupt politicians, and Obama. How do you come? You're going back to McDonald's to work the fry station again? Car germs come. How do you like go after the leftists from the McDonald's fry station? Can germs come through a phone? One of the greatest tricks Republicans pulled was tricking people into hating Obama. He was honestly America's only good president. It's like there is not a single personal scandal tied to the Obama family. You know, like a real one, like the whole Michelle Obama's a man stuff. They have to make something up like that. But Obama never cheated on his wife. He never had any drug problems like George W. Bush did. And it's like John McCain said, he is a decent man and an honest man. Barack Obama was really like just as a man, as a human being, is a good, decent, honest, intelligent, articulate person. He whether you agree he's the best president or not, he is certainly the best person to be president in my lifetime, with the possible exception of Jimmy Carter, who is also a very good person. Bill Clinton has some problems. Joe Biden, I think he was probably he's probably pretty honest, but he wasn't as Joe Biden was never the smartest person in the room, but at least he was smart enough to know that, unlike Trump. You're stupid pitchforking on the internet. I'm so afraid. What are you talking about, Dusty? I don't know. I don't know what you're saying. Are you saying that AOC funded the police state? Army spent $500 million on a Texas factory to make 155 millimeter shells. It has not made a single shell. Interesting. He will lie as often as he starts a sentence. He may not even need to start a sentence to lie. He might fall asleep. Get it? Are you going to watch your pedophile piece of poop president speak tonight? No, I am not. I would definitely just go insane. If I like, sometimes my wife will be in the kitchen. We have like one of those kitchen displays, or not Google display things. She'll be watching the news, and it'll have Donald Trump speaking. And I get angry just like walking through the kitchen and hearing his voice. If I'm watching the news and he comes on, I just hit mute. I like just his voice is annoying to me. If you know, like I'll keep up through like the clips on Twitter and stuff and just like read the captions so I don't have to hear him say things. So are you telling me that international courts didn't find that the Dominion voting machines were giving vote for Hugo Chavez 100% to Chavez and vote for his opponent 36? I am saying that has nothing to do with the U.S. elections. I don't know what the international courts found about the Dominion voting machines in Argentina under Hugo Chavez. I know that Fox News got sued and lost for like almost $800 million for saying that Hugo Chavez and Dominion were working together to rig the American elections. Did you know that? Like, that's the relevant part, right? Me neither. Maybe a second, but I get better news from Al Jazeera. I tend to get most of my news by reading it. It's funny when people are like, "Oh, you get that from MSNBC?" MSNBC doesn't exist anymore. Number one, it's MS Now, and two, I'd never watch CNN. And see, I read my news because, you know, like I'm a literate person that engages and reads and thinks. And then I don't get my news from Newsmax and Fox because they are just riddled with disinformation. So that means politicians are liars, more than 11. So that makes it okay for Donald Trump to sit there and lie to as a pretext to strip away American citizens' voting rights. MAGA's in their double standards. While patriots who defend their black neighbors are under attack. White patriots who defend their black, yes, and white patriots who defend their immigrant neighbors are getting murdered. You're going with the assumption people use one type of voting machine. Right. Dominion voting machines were only a small percentage of the voting machines. That's what I mean when I say, like, you'd have to go into all these precincts. Each state has different things. Not all states even use electric voting machines. I'm tired of this crap. Hey, Nunya, I think this is first time I remember seeing you. There's actually a lot of new people I'm seeing here. If this is your first time and you're enjoying this stream, then please remember to hit like and subscribe. I'm tired of this crap. Donald Trump divided this country more than any other person in the whole existence. White people, I think that 1861 would like a call, but since the Civil War, this is the most divided the country has been, and Donald Trump has been the wedge. And I love the way that people say, oh, Barack Obama did it. Yes, yes. Blame the racism on the black guy, because that doesn't sound at all racist. And the thing he did, if you are old enough to remember, the thing he did that really pissed them off is a black guy got arrested by a white guy for being black and drunk and trying to enter his own house. And he believed the black guy when he said he was just trying to enter his own house, which turned out to be the case. But that's how Barack Obama divided America, is he believed a black man might be innocent. MAGA shakes his fist at clouds, News at 11. Yeah, it's like Donald Trump is Jesus Christ, his mother name is Mary. They certainly would like to have you believe that. It's like they're like, everything he does is, you know, you have to disagree with everything he does. And it's like, you can't disagree with anything he does. He stole nuclear secrets and you defended him. Now we got another, what is, like, you know, it's the year of our Lord 2026, right? Why are we talking about masks? Womp womp. I thought Trump wanted to be a pope. No, he wants to be over the Pope. He wants to tell the Pope what to do. He apparently has a better understanding of theology than the Pope. What kind of son have I created? Actual words spoken by Trump's mom. Wow. Hey, tough guy, who you got for the World Cup final, Spain or Argentina? I don't know. I think that the winning country will speak Spanish. Which probably will bother Trump. Thumbs down to the orange clown. I like that. Good rhyme. Who would be king? I don't like, there's all these emoji stuff. I don't speak emoji. Masks are only an issue because most mask wearers are psychopaths. What's the obsession with masks? Republicans are literally scared of the truth. Like Donald Trump lying to masks? Who was president in 2020? Out of the 80 proven voter fraud cases actually proven in the last 40 years, 55 of them were proven to be Republican voters using deceased relatives and dead people's names to vote. Well, there's like 1,400 cases of voter fraud across the board. I'm not sure where you're getting the 80 proven voter, or is that like in-person voter fraud maybe? There's been about that many. cases of non-citizens voting. And all of the cases of non-citizens voting, none of them would have been prevented by the SAVE Act, by the way, because they all had forged birth certificates or forged passports that they used to register to vote. So it wouldn't have even prevented any of the non-citizens from voting. So that's the other thing when you talk about, well, one is too many. Okay, then why haven't you prevented one? Why does this legislation not prevent one case of a non-citizen voting? If that were your goal, wouldn't you like want to prevent non-citizens from voting? And it's like, if we're going to use, well, if they want it bad enough, they can get one as an excuse to not pass any gun safety laws. Then why is it that non-citizens, if they really want to vote, if they really want a forged birth certificate, I think a forged birth certificate is no harder to get access to than a gun. Why is Trump afraid of legal green card people now? Wants to deny any government help. Because they're brown. The white ones he's all for. Like he's importing asylum seekers from, with a fake white genocide from South Africa. He probably said he'd probably one of his maids decades ago, and she slapped him. So he decided to get even with the entire population. It always comes from some petty thing. Just like, Stephen Miller got stuffed in a locker by an 8th grade Hispanic girl when he was a senior in high school, and he's still mad about it. I don't know why that typed out like that. Autocorrect is an MF. I got what you were saying. Real men support Trump. What? No, real men don't talk about real men. Supporting Trump, and it's like cool kids. If you're a cool kid, you don't have to say you're a cool kid. Everybody knows you're cool. If you're a real man, everybody knows you're a real man. You don't have to prove it. And real men don't walk around peacocking their feathers, acting like, saying things like low T and real men. Those are pretenders. You're a beta. If you go around talking about real men do this and real men do that, that is the most beta thing that you can do. Supporting Trump in this economy. It's a joke. We're going to have a recession. In a lot of ways, we are in one, but it's a hidden one. Because consumer spending hasn't changed. But you know what has changed? Who is spending it? We're now over 50% of spending is done by the top 10%. 40 years ago, that was like 30% of spending was by the top 10%. It's been getting worse for decades, and it's worse ever than now. And spending has stayed the same, but consumer debt has gone up. Credit card debt has gone up. People carrying balances on their credit card statements has gone up. Credit card defaults has gone up. So what that means is that people are now borrowing money to pay for their basic needs. And that's why spending hasn't changed, but that's masking the fact that we're actually in a recession. For the average American, they are subjectively in a recession right now. And you get these people, oh, my 401k is doing great. First of all, I doubt that, people that live in trailer homes actually have 401ks, and that, you're just saying that to like own the libs. And I doubt 90% of the people that, say that actually have 401ks. I don't even know if they know how to spell 401ks. But I've been saying we should spell consumer spending with a K because we have a K-shaped economy. I'm a real man and I can't stand Trump. Thank you, Walter. When the pool was drained, experts and investigations found no large slashes. Instead, investigators observed tire marks on the floor matching the weight and dimensions of a heavy 10-ton limousine. How did a 10-ton limousine get in the swimming pool? How did those tire marks get there? What a interesting. When Trump drove across it. Trump drove across the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool, ironically at a time when he can do no self-reflection. So Donald Trump vandalized the pool. Maybe they should arrest Donald Trump for vandalism, or is that an official act? MAGA are closeted homosexuals. I don't like talking about closeted homosexuals. Because I'm not gonna talk about closeted homosexuals because that's like, anyway, I'm sorry. I just have a issue with that. The same as I would of outing a homosexual. They just love men. Yeah, sorry, I can't read the rest of that comment. I'll check out that Greg Palast book. Thank you for the recommendation. Who did you just say he has an annoying? Oh, I'm not saying I don't. You're free to not, listen to my stream. Donald Trump has an annoying voice. True Isbolethus. I spell this. I don't know. I stand with white patriots who defend minorities. Amen. I subscribe and like. Thank you, sir. Or ma'am, or them. The tan suit, the horror. I think that the tan suit has kind of overshadowed the Dijon mustard. Like the Dijon mustard, remember they had like a full-on freak out because he likes Dijon mustard. Like Dijon, like they talk about elitist, and then they vote because he was an elitist because he had Dijon mustard on his hamburger, and then they voted for a billionaire, a hand-me-down billionaire for president. Like how much more? Like there's just no logical consistency at all to MAGAs. They're as consistent as Donald Trump's bowels. It's the year of Donald Trump and the Lord. Woo! Oh, that was clever. Islamic Republic of Japan. I love that. Like, can you? I just imagine if Joe Biden had said the words Islamic Republic of Japan. Republicans would have been, clamoring for the 25th Amendment by the time the N got pronounced. The Lord hates Trump. Read the first commandment. With the MAGAs, I always think of this verse. I spent 15 years as a youth minister, by the way. It's not like I'm not a Christian and don't know the Bible. But there's this verse that always makes me think of the MAGAs, where the Lord, the Lord says, in that day, many will come to me saying, Lord, Lord, didn't we cast out demons and do works in your name? And in that day, I will say, depart from me. I never knew you. Where were you when I was hungry and needed to eat? Where were you when I was naked and needed clothes? Where were you when I was homeless and needed a place to rest? In that day, I will say, be gone from me. That's MAGA right there. It's people that claim the Lord's name and deny the Lord's commissions. MAGA doesn't preach the gospel. They preach the Mosaic law. Literally. Want to put it up in schools. MAGA is not just unchristian. MAGA is anti-Christian. Read Romans 2, MAGAs. If you have a Bible, if you have your Trump Bible, I think the Romans 2 shouldn't be changed. It talks about hypocrisy and says that you're worse than, because the Gentiles do by nature the things of the law while you don't do the things in the law, even though you know them. They deny Jesus' name because of you. All in the Bible. I'm just quoting the Bible here. Maybe you should try reading it. But when you're sitting there and you're talking about all this, Christian nation stuff, and you're preaching hate, and you're preaching division, and you're preaching white supremacy, and you're preaching how, like, America is God's chosen nation, All of that is heretical nonsense and anti-Christian. The Bible says there's no Greek nor Jew nor Gentile nor Jew, no Greek nor free man. Sorry, don't recall the exact verse. But Christ is all and in all, in one new man, right? The Bible says there's no difference between people, and you draw divisions between people. Trump in his BS election lies speech tonight is all just a plan to discredit the upcoming midterms. He's scared of being impeached and prosecuted for stealing taxpayers' money. And Mike Johnson is fully on board with it. They will try to deny the results of this election if they lose, when they lose, because they lose. Put your mask on and shut up. Jeff, you're free to just move the channel. Nobody is forcing you to watch this, but I take your insults and your weird digressions about masks as a confession that you know I'm right. And you know, this is the defense mechanism that MAGA's leap to. It is like sit there and, you know, it's MAGA Tourette's. Just say stupid things to avoid hearing intelligent things. These MAGA one pump chump and run troll lines show they like chat. One pump chump and run. That sounds like Trump's night with Stormy Daniels, doesn't it? Can we use that? One pump chump and run. I love it. Troll lines show they chat like they real live fans, grinder fans. Okay, you would hate Book from the Ground by Zhu Bing. It's an entire book using emoji. Oh yeah, I don't speak emoji. I hate these, like, you know, I get these replies on Twitter and Blue Sky where it's like all Twitter's, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I have no idea. Can we use words? Like, I don't want to sit there and think about what all that means. Eggplant, whatever, you know. I know what eggplant means, but though through grifting, Donald Trump has made more money for his personal wealth than the all the other U.S. presidents combined, an estimated $4.3 billion to date. He has more than quadrupled his net worth in just a year in the office. And it's all come from pardoning people that were guilty of things like laundering money for drug cartels. BS. So do cows, but they don't brag. There is a state block-backed troll farm talking points folder that is handed out. Trolls literally repeat the ad nauseum as instructed. The mask thing. Oh, is that a thing that they're being told to say today? Maybe to like put people back in the spirit of 2020? Because it's like all of a sudden, like we've had like 5 different people come. I think you're right. We've had like 5 different people come up with this mask line today. And it's like, again, Donald Trump was president in 2020. That was the black professor who taught at Harvard. Yes. His name was Professor Gates. Yes, exactly. Who cops arrested for breaking into his own house. Exactly. And the cop was white, and Gates actually went into his house. And there was an argument. He was like, this is my house. This is actually my house. And he raised his voice to the cop. You could say he was a tad belligerent, as you might be if you were being arrested, you know, like sitting there accused of breaking into your own house. He was like trying to tell the cop, look, my ID is inside. I just forgot my ID. Let me go inside and get it. And the cop was not being polite, was being belligerent himself. So anyway, he finally got in, and he went in, and he wasn't like trying to break into his house. He was drunk, and he was having trouble opening it with the key. So he goes in, he gets his ID, he comes back out, and he's standing at the threshold of the door, telling the cop, here's my ID. And the cop is like, no, you have to step out to give it to me, because the cop could not arrest him as long as he was inside his house. And then after He stepped outside and showed the cop his ID. The cop arrested him for drunken disorderly or something, after he already proved that it was his own house. But yeah, sure. Racism is made up. And that's why it pissed off the white supremacist America so much. I'm not really a man. I'm just a cute little puppy. Why did we spend weeks and weeks denying an Arizona congressman a seat in Congress, and yet we can appoint a senator from South Carolina before her brother is even in the ground? To be fair, and I'm not saying, like, I'm not using this to defend what happened to the congresswoman from Arizona. One, they were in a recess, which that's never been an excuse before. And two, that was the House of Representatives and not the Senate. I don't know if you know, if it were a Democrat that needed to be rolled in, but you're conflating what John Flynn did with what Mike Johnson did too. The Democratic Party, the party of weak men and miserable women, also the party that incites violence. None of that is true. That's just, that is a confession of ignorance. Where did Harry from Britain go? Yeah, he hasn't been on in a couple of days. I think yesterday the England game was on. But yeah, I don't know what happened. Obama used ICE and deported 4 million illegals, and 67 illegals died. Illegals is not a noun. And what does Obama have to do with anything? Look, we're not against deporting people that are here illegally. We're against, what we're also for is due process. I'm not, what am I jealous? What jealousy? Like, I'm sorry, I don't like envy assholes being assholes. Like, if I wanted to be an asshole, I could be an asshole. I choose not to be. I choose to be better than you. I'm not jealous of you for being inferior to me. Try harder, MAGA. I spelt this wrong. Oh, well, spelt for short. I have spelt flower. Or I have spelt grain, actually. Kelly, I'm really shocked you don't know. It was huge news that Trump and a motorcade went across the drained reflecting pool months ago to view the progress. Yeah, I didn't know that. It's hard to keep up with all the insanity. And while I was like not broadcasting, I was kind of stepping away from all the insanity for a while because I just needed to like hit the reset button. I needed a break, and so I didn't pay attention to the news that much for about a month. Must have been during that. Okay, this guy is a demon witch. Wow. I've been called a demon, but this is the first time I've been called a witch. So, am I putting a spell on you? Now you're a Democrat. How do you reconcile God's relationship with time? You're asking me, like, theoretically? Well, if God created things, then he, you know, space, time, all that is related, right? Like space and time are connected. Einstein proved that. And so the metaphysical operates outside of the physical. So there's no reconciliation that needs to be done. God is a metaphysical being. The universe is a physical thing which came out of God. So you don't need to reconcile it. There's no conflict. Trump and his SAVE Act is just another throw anything he can at the wall to disenfranchise actual citizen voters, taking away early voting, mail-in voting, not accepting ballots. Yeah. He basically just wants to count votes that are for him and discount any votes that aren't for him. Taking away early voting, mail-in voting, not accepting ballots that were received before Election Day but are still being counted until after Election Day, asking the Postmaster General to not accept mailed ballots. Like, that one is like, he's literally telling the Postmaster to not deliver votes, and he is talking about voter what's the word he's always using? Anyway, that is rigging the election. Trump is scared of the grift of taxpayers will end, and he will end up in jail. He also bragged he wanted to be the richest family of all time. Two things a 100% guarantee, and would be the bet the lives of my children that Trump has never read the Bible and our Constitution, but he's got both in the same book that people can ignore. It's generally a MAGA thing. They talk about the Bible and the Constitution incessantly and never indicate that they have done anything to read either. He just tells the truth. Okay. I mean, it's almost like name a true thing that Donald Trump has ever said. I doubt 90% of Congress read the Bible or the Constitution. And when Trump is gone, they're still there. Quit worrying about Trump. No, I'm sorry. You're wrong. 90% of, first of all, I don't care if Congress has read the Bible or not. The Bible has nothing to do with Congress. Secondly, I can assure you that most of the lawyers, like most of Congress's lawyers, and whether you're a Republican or a Democrat in Congress, you don't go to law school and never have read the Constitution. Quit worrying about Trump and worry about those who steal from you. I am worried about somebody who steals. Trump is trying to steal my right to vote. Lauren knows I'll get blocked for non-hateful rhetoric towards Trump. I don't block anybody for non. Dude, if I were going to block you for that, you would be blocked. Try not to end your statement with libtard, and you should get away with quite a bit. It's a valid argument, not just some crash out statement. YouTube is doing a pretty good job of taking out the trolls ahead of time. There are filters in place that I don't even put there. And personally, I don't like using mental handicaps as a pejorative. If you can make an intelligent argument, make one. But you haven't made one. You've made an assumption about Congress that has nothing to do with whether Trump lies or not. You're like sitting there saying, like, what does that have? What does whether Congress has read the Bible have to do with Trump lying tonight? One has nothing at all to do with the other. One is an assumption based on your part that you have absolutely no means to back up, and the other is about Donald Trump and whether he'll lie tonight. If somebody in Congress hasn't read the Bible, does that magically make what Donald Trump says true? You won't get blocked. You will get pushback for not recognizing Trump's role in everything happening. He's the head of the monster. Very good. Right. See, people that watch this channel know I don't block people just because they disagree with me. I respond to them, and they never actually respond to my response. I am, but I will accept being in the minority. I think immigration is a non-issue. The real issue is the folks on top that point to immigrants as the issue. I think that immigration is an issue, but I think it's an issue for reasons other than the MAGA wing of the Republican Party. I think that we need to change our immigration laws to make it easier for people to come over here and work legally in low-paying jobs, the way that we built this country. There are farmers, for instance, your independent farmers, your small independent farmers. In order to get an immigrant to come and do work that they can't get Americans to do, by the way, they have to first put ads in the local papers for 30 days saying they're hiring them. Then the second thing they have to do is show that nobody came to apply for those jobs. Then after that, they have to pay for visas. I think they're HB1. Then they have to apply, or they have to advertise in different countries for the job. They have to hire them, then they have to pay for their travel to come over here. They have to, after their travel is paid for, they also have to pay for their boarding while they're here. And then they have to also pay them, on top of all that, the going rate, the same that they would pay for an American citizen doing the job, even though no American citizen would do the job. So they have to pay the going rates that American citizens get for doing that job. And the extra cost, it costs on average about $7,000 more per season. And a lot of times they're running like 2 different seasons, like in California. They're running 2 seasons. And these farmers are making at best like around $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a year. And so if they have to hire 10 workers, that's like all of their profit goes just to hiring legal immigrants instead of illegal immigrants. They're hiring illegal immigrants. Like I see a lot of people, it's not the big corporate farmers that are hiring the illegal immigrants. Those the big corporate farmers can actually afford that because they need fewer workers, because they tend to do have farms with more automated workers. They have barracks, so they don't have the cost of upkeep. Like they don't have to pay for somebody's rent or whatever. It's a lot cheaper for them, and so then and they have more money. So the small independent farmers are actually going out of business because they simply cannot afford to do it the legal way. The other kind of you got H1A. H1A I think is agriculture. H1B is non-agriculture. Those they don't have to pay their rent and stuff. They don't have to pay for them to come over here. They don't have to do all that stuff. But there's only so many that they can hire, like nationwide, a year. And the number per year that they have, I want to say it's 80,000 actual visas that are issued per year. And we've got like 8 million people working in those jobs. So we don't have anywhere near enough visas to fit the number of jobs, and we have more illegal immigrants working than we have jobless Americans. Like, even if every single unemployed American had a job that an illegal immigrant was doing right now, there would still be jobs not doing and fulfilled, and that means that those businesses suffer. So illegal immigrants actually do a lot to benefit the economy, and they pay more taxes than they receive in benefits, because they don't really receive the benefits, but they still pay all the taxes. And they do, a lot of them pay either EID or they have fake social security numbers that money goes into the system that never comes out. And a lot of those jobs are really critical for hospitality, for processing food, like meat packing plants and stuff like that, for butchering the cattle, for harvesting the vegetables and the strawberries that can't be done through automated work. Like a lot of things that are really critical to America, like eating and housing. I think 40% of construction workers are undocumented immigrants. So we need to change the law to make it easier for people to migrate rather than make it like harder for people to migrate. So I do think immigration is a problem, but for the opposite reason they do. If he ends his sentence with an insult or a racism, he's definitely going to kick. Otherwise, he's welcome for his opinion. Yeah, we don't allow racist comments here. Do all things need a cause? Well, if God is the cause, then God is the cause. If all things need a cause, then God God does not need a cause. Because you're talking, this is where we get into the you're thinking of like laws of physics and stuff, right? But God, if a metaphysical entity would not have to obey physical laws, because the metaphysical entity, whatever you want to call it, would be the cause of the metaphysical, like not just the cause of the metaphysical or the physical cause, it would be the cause of physicality. So just philosophically, you're conflating the metaphysical with the physical, and the physical has to operate within the physical laws established by the metaphysical. But the metaphysical, because it created those laws, does not have to operate by those laws. I'd rather ground my morals in humanism that can demonstrate the effects of harm via metrics and mental and physical health. I have no problem with that. I'm not trying to convince you of anything. And I think that politics and religion have no place to be anywhere near together. I say that as a Christian, and I say that as an American. The Bible and the Constitution, never the twain shall meet. Where's all right? What expert is this now? I can't believe people watch and talk to these nobodies, says the person watching this nobody. We don't need people to work. Thousands of people lose their jobs every day. Well, actually, we do. Not everybody can do every job. That's why, and you know, it's like, I'm sorry, a 73-year-old man in Arizona isn't going to go and take an agriculture job picking strawberries in California. Not every square peg can fill a round hole. Make it easier. I agree. Personally, I don't care about immigration. I welcome them. My ancestors were Irish, Italian, German immigrants, and none of them. No, you're not. I mean, we're in agreement here. I think that we forget about this. All these people that talk about, you know, why can't they come over the way my parents did? And I'm like, or you know, like the way my ancestors did. And I 100% agree that immigrants today should be able to come over the way your ancestors did. The problem is, they can't come over the way your ancestors did. They can come over the exact same way, but not legally. The only difference is what changed. The only thing that changed is the law. And one thing we lose sight of, immigrants actually, if for every 500,000 undocumented immigrants that are employed, it adds, not takes from, it adds 40,000 jobs to the American economy. Because those people spend money. They make money and they spend money. And they do things like the strawberries they harvest get bought by people. So it actually adds to the economy. But, you know, the economically illiterate can't see past, well, they're working, therefore they are taking an American's job. Because there's a thoughtless ignorance that's embedded in being a MAGA. California is trying to make it legal to give illegal immigrants $120,000 to buy homes. I have a hunch that is not. I'm going to look this up because I have a feeling this is one of those things where there is something there, but not the way you articulate it is not the whole truth. So I'm asking it, is California giving $120,000 to illegal immigrants to buy homes? I have a hunch that's not true. Just if they're doing that, I will say it's wrong. The short answer is no. This claim is based on a real California proposal, but it usually presented without the ending. Here's what is actually happening. In 2024, the California legislature passed AB 1840, which would have allowed some undocumented immigrants to become eligible for an existing state down payment assistance program called California Dream for All. The program does not give people free cash. It provides a shared appreciation loan to help with the down payment or closing cost. In exchange, when the home is sold or refinanced, the borrower repays the original loan plus a share of the home's appreciation. It's effectively an equity sharing loan, not a grant. The assistance can be up to 20% of the purchase price, capped at $150,000. not 120,000. Governor Newsom vetoed AB 1840 in September 24. As a result, undocumented immigrants did not become eligible through that bill. He cited limited funding and budget priorities. So that's the actual full story. Are you going to give credit to Newsom for vetoing that bill? MAGA never mentioned, and it's not apparently not just undocumented immigrants and not all undocumented immigrants. Interesting, MAGA never mentioned that in 2020, him and his allies tried to undermine the 2020 election by using 84 fake electors, which they did. The Green Bay sweep was an attempt to overturn the election. Can we please just acknowledge reality for 5 minutes? By using 84 fake electors found guilty, then Trump pardoned them. Well, he pardoned them from any federal prosecution, but he can't pardon them from state prosecution, and some of the states are still prosecuting them. I know there are state programs to address homelessness with lower cost housing. So, interesting. Ronald Reagan gave amnesty to over 5 million undocumented. Bush issued more green cards than Obama to date, deported more illegal. I'm not sure what's, yeah. Why is that interesting? Washington State has such a homeless program. It's akin to California's program. There are also state programs that fund troll farms utilizing official talking points. That's why you see massive "where's your mask" for multiple accounts simultaneously, just playing devil's advocates. Oh, yeah, right. I didn't know there, like you're saying, Brett, that there are state-funded programs that fund trolls to go online and post talking points. What's the I'd be interested to see the source of that. Building small homes for homeless because they are priced out of homes that sit empty to drive the cost of housing up. Yeah, I mean, we obviously have a housing crisis. It's not a homeless. Well, it's not anything because it was vetoed. Why didn't you mention it was vetoed? Why didn't you mention Newsom vetoed it? It's almost like you don't actually care about what the truth is. First-time home buyer benefit then, so it applies to all home buyers. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on with that. There are jobs available in the U.S. citizens refuse to do, mostly requiring educations or manual labor. So what do you think the answer is? Refuse to do. By refuse to do, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Are you like saying people should be conscripted to do work they don't want to do or can't do? Or are you saying that employers need to be able to find other ways to find people to do the jobs that Americans don't want to do? Like, people don't go to college and get a master's degree in engineering so that they can pick strawberries on a farm in California. Not before the language was changed to include illegal immigrants. Okay, but it was vetoed. It was vetoed, right? It was vetoed. God caused themselves, but the universe couldn't. Yeah, I don't want to get into this anymore because I don't want to get into a theological debate because this is not a. When Christians come on here and spout their Christian stuff, I'm not gonna get into that's not the purpose of this show. I tried to, answer your question about where I think in good faith. Let's just move on, please. Type 1.7 million, 75 million Reagan. If you want to pluck chickens, be my guest. Do not want to work on a roof in the middle of July, be my guest. Do you want, yeah. Do you want to be building bridges in Baltimore? Please go out there. It's like there are jobs that some people either don't want to do or can't do. Like I physically just am not able. I'm 59. In like 3 weeks, I'll be 59. I have a history of AFib. I have one lung. There's no way that I can go and, pick strawberries for a living. What a dumb take. The cost is way higher than any taxes being paid. No, it's not. Saying it's a dumb take and then just regurgitating nonsense does not mean that it's not nonsense. And you don't have to use a social security number to vote. And having a social security number doesn't mean, like, yeah, I love the way you say, what a dumb take. And then every single thing you say after that is dumb. Yeah. Religion and politics being separate is acceptable. I think it's beyond acceptable. I think it should be mandatory as both a Christian and an American. Like as a citizen, I don't want religion in my politics. And as a person that follows a religion, I don't want politics in my religion. The two things never go well together. Lots of religion. Like I point this out. Nobody has killed more Christians than other Christians. So, like, when you start getting into that, it's... I agree. Like, just not beyond accept. They shouldn't just be separated. They should be like the magnets, where they push away. I did roof work one summer. I was blistered and I thought I was going to die every day. I could never do roof work. I had a roommate that was a roofer. He was a big dude. He was strong. They burned so many calories. That dude could eat food. One day he came home. He pulled out a whole rotisserie chicken. He put on like 4 cups of rice. He cooked 4 cups of rice and he plopped the pot down and he pulled out a rotisserie chicken. And he sat there, he ate that entire chicken and half the rice. I was like, boy, you must be hungry. And he says, yeah. And then he pulls out a second chicken. And he eats the second chicken and the other 2 cups of rice. Man ate 4 cups of rice and 2 chickens in about 20 minutes. I mean, you burn calories doing that roofing. His job wasn't even doing the roofing. His job was he would go down, get the roofing material, and climb up a ladder carrying the stuff. And it's like, that stuff is heavy. I'm sure Brett knows. There's a job for MAGA. American citizens do those things every day, but they don't do it enough. I mean, again, there's a reason. It's not that people pay undocumented migrants to do that work because it's cheaper. Undocumented migrants gravitate towards those jobs because those are the jobs they can find, because American citizens don't want to do them. Making a statement and having that a statement be true are not the same thing, Bobcat. Like, honestly, please do some research, do some reading on this instead of just saying things. Like, what you have is a hollow opinion. And you're entitled to a hollow opinion, but you're also entitled to, like, fill it with something and change your mind if you find out that what you're saying isn't true. Lise says, I can't believe that you are still so willing to believe the most inaccurate information. Do some research, learn something. No, my argument is actually not to let them in so that we can exploit their labor. Part of my argument, and this is like another one of those fake MAGA talking points. Actually, my argument is that if we change the immigration laws so that they can do the labor, it actually would protect them from being exploited. It would protect the businesses from having to hire people that are illegal, and it would protect them from going into failure. It would add to the taxpayers, to the taxing. It benefits everybody, including the Americans who do that job, because then they're not getting undercut. Info is accurate is actually not an argument. Like, oh, info is accurate according to Bobcat. Like, saying it's accurate doesn't make it accurate. If it's wrong, it's wrong. Your argument is to keep them out so you could cry that you don't have a job. If immigrants are illegal, by law they have to be paid equally for equal labor. Right. If you change the law so that they're here legally, then you're actually raising the floor for everybody, including the employer. Aren't right. I figured that out. We need no illegals. Well, we don't need any illegals. I like my Eagles healthy. I'm sure many fans of the Philadelphia Eagles would agree with you that we need no illegals. But again, illegal is not a noun, it's an adjective. And if we change the law so that immigrants can do the jobs that we don't want to do, they wouldn't be here illegally. They would just be legal immigrants. So what you're really trying to do is you're trying to couch racism behind a word that you don't even know how to spell. It makes sense to anybody that actually, the reason it doesn't make sense to you is because cognitive dissonance is kicking in. And you'd have to like reevaluate your core paradigm in order to understand it. But if you actually think about it, it makes perfect sense. Sure it is. You're just ignorant willfully. You're incapable of making a point, says the person that keeps avoiding the point. Legal status is used to pay folks less for the same labor. Yes. I don't know how everybody seems to understand it, but you. All right. Anyway. Bobcat is just going to keep digging in. 10 toes in the ground. So I'm just going to, 10 toes into ignorance. And so I'm not going to bother engaging with that anymore. I've answered your question, Bobcat. I've addressed you in good faith. Have a nice, whatever. Trump's policy of deporting large numbers of undocumented immigrants that were just here to work but paid Social Security that they will draw is causing the Social Security system reduction benefits to happen a full years earlier than forecasted. And that's according to the Social Security Administration. That's not according to Rachel Maddow and MSNBC, which doesn't exist anymore. That is an actual fact reported by the Social Security Administration. California is the worst state in the USA next to New York. Okay. But I'd like to see by what measure you think that is. If immigrants are allowed legally, then they have to be legally paid the minimum wage by law. Which, undocumented immigrants tend to make more than minimum wage, but they do tend to make about $2 less per hour than immigrants, than either legal immigrants or American citizens get paid for doing the same work. So it's like, I think harvesting strawberries is like legal people make like $17 an hour doing it, and immigrants get paid $15 an hour doing it. But it's not just about how much they're making. A lot of it is how they make it. Like they're paid per pound of strawberries, and so they don't take breaks. They just work. Like, go and watch some of these YouTube videos of what they do. It is back-breaking, grueling work in the heat of the day. And it's like they have to work so fast, and they're sitting there working with knives and stuff where they can cut themselves. So there's like safety issues, and there could be it's not just about pay. It's also about worker protection laws that don't apply to them. They could be applied. And I think that might even be a bigger issue. Reggie says something racist. We won't entertain that. You just called a person in chat a racist. I think it's you that's calling people names. Please stop trying to play the game. I am so afraid of undocumented peoples. Please help me. Yeah, I'm taking that as sarcasm. It's like I was saying yesterday. We just MAGA are cowards. That's make America cowardly again. That's their whole thing. Oh, the illegals are coming to get me. The illegals are stealing the elections. There's no such thing as illegals. They're just immigrants who are here illegally. Why isn't Donald Trump an illegal? If breaking the law makes you an illegal, Donald Trump is an illegal. He's much more illegal than any undocumented immigrant. He's a 34-time felon. And actually more than that, but just convicted on 34 counts. 54 blocks of Skid Row. I don't know what that means. You're talking about the homeless issue in California? Everybody agrees it's an issue. I don't know, what are you going to do to solve it? Immigrants pay taxes but do not get returns. This is a fact. And according to the Social Security Administration, this is not something that liberals say. This is something the Social Security Administration say. I don't know. The only one making a racist argument is you. Oops, immigrants will never draw. Yeah, I know what you meant. Why don't you go to Fox? Okay, how far behind am I now? About 20 minutes. No, 16 minutes. We're not doing that bad. Hey, Mo, how you doing today? I've decided I'm just going to call you Mo. I like calling you Mo because it's like a name and it fits within your elongated name. A MAGA once tried to convince me that in Seattle, if someone broke into your home, you would have to let them live with you. And she was blown away by that fact. I was blown away by how dumb she was. I love it. If you're still on Facebook, I know not everybody is, but if you're still on Facebook, you'll always see this people that will share these ludicrous things. And they'll be like, I can't believe this is happening. And it's like, this is unbelievable. And it's like, okay, you believe this thing that is unbelievable and you didn't even fact check it first? Like, you are literally admitting that this thing is so ludicrous that it shouldn't be believed as you believe it without even bother to verify it. The undocumented immigrants are here undocumented. They are not illegals. Illegals is an adjective, not a noun. It is a modifier. And it's not like the entire person is not defined as being illegal because they are here illegally. It's not that hard of a concept. If you want to say illegal immigrants, I'm fine. But calling them illegals is just racist. It's defining the person as being illegal, especially considering it's usually used not in the context of somebody that came over here from Russia, a white person that came over here from Russia on a visa and then overstayed their visa and is here just as illegally as somebody that snuck over the border. Yes. And that's why I say that we should change the immigration laws. If we change the immigration laws, I know this is going to be hard for your little MAGA head, but if we change the immigration laws so that they can be here legally, they wouldn't be here illegally, right? So your argument is circular, right? It's a tautology. You're sitting there and you're arguing that they're here legally, therefore they shouldn't be here legally, or therefore they should be illegal. I'm saying if you change the law so that they can be here legally, they won't be here legally, then the whole thing is just moot. Change the law. It's actually better for them to be here. It's better for them if they're here. It's better for the American workers if they're here. It's better for the American employers if they're here. It's better for the American taxpayers if they're here. So why not let them be here? Like, just change the law. Change the law so that they can come over here legally. Yeah, here, like, all I would say is have it change the law so that they can come over here and stay as long as they're working, and it's not tied to an employer, and they can just work here as long as they're working. If they go like 3 months without working, they have to leave. I mean, that's just off the top of my head. There might be some holes in that, but let's have a starting point for that. If immigrant labor and I mean low level labor is good for America, we should be able to have immigrant low level labor, and that's how we built this country. Like, it wasn't third generation citizens that went out west and pioneered the Midwest. It wasn't third generation Americans that laid the railroad. It wasn't third immigration Americans that built the skyscrapers in New York City. It wasn't third generation Americans that went out and settled California. Third immigration our immigrants have been behind every advance in our civilization, in our American civilization. Immigrants helped build the highways. Everything you do in America, virtually everything you do in America, was influenced by legal immigrants who were doing a lot of it, what we call low skill labor, even though I hate the term, but I hate it semantically, because I think every labor involves skill. But low bottom rung workers, that's what we need those. We need those. Everybody comes over here to make their lives better for their children and their grandchildren. And now you want to say their grandchildren need to go back and do the work that they worked to make sure their children and grandchildren wouldn't have to do. Audrey says, LOL, that's why I will never OLY myself. I don't know what OLY is. Illegal immigration is not biblical. Illegal migration is not biblical. Jesus had a universal passport from Liberty University. Put me in timeout because you don't know how to respond. I didn't put you in timeout. If you got put in timeout, it's because Brett felt like you deserved it. And if Brett put you in timeout because you felt like you deserved it, you probably kept saying racist stuff. No, and anyway. And he warned you. I saw him warn you several times. No human is illegal. That's just the term you call people to dehumanize them, to make abuses done to them acceptable. Right. It's like, oh, they deserve, and you literally see this as a justification for killing them. They have been unalived by ICE officers, and people that support them and stand up for their rights have been unalived by police officers. And you guys call yourself pro-life. I'm going to tell you this, being pro-life and being pro-murder are mutually exclusive. You can't be pro-life and then defend ICE murdering people. That's just, no, those two things do not go together. If you're pro-murder, then you are not pro-life. And so you can just shut up with all your pro-life nonsense. So Brett didn't even put you in timeout, Bob. Okay, so is Donald Trump an illegal? Was Donald Trump convicted of breaking the law? Is Donald Trump an illegal? Did you vote for an illegal to be president? Donald Trump is an illegal. If you tell me that Donald Trump is an illegal, then you can use that term on my show program. If you can't say that Donald Trump is illegal, then stop using the term. YouTube filters comments. You must have said, oh, I do. Yeah. No. Did the same Alex with ICE killed. He was a criminal. Yeah. And then he was like, oh, he was gonna shoot the ICE officers with a gun that was legally carried, and he has a Second Amendment right, but I guess Second Amendment only applies to certain people. What was he doing with an ICE at a protest? Says the people who say that the Second Amendment is there to protect your rights against an overbearing, overreaching government. Like, your entire interpretation of the Second Amendment is that you're supposed to be able to carry weapons when you protest, as a protest, but like you can point them at people and shoot them in protest. But Alex Preddy, not even touching it, deserved to die. 1/4 of your messages are helpful for you. I have to manually approve them. You must be on a watch list or something. Probably a reason for that. Less illegals. Actually, no, less illegals does not equal more homes, because believe it or not, banks aren't giving undocumented immigrants homes. They're not giving them loans to buy homes. No. The reason that stop listening to JD Vance. JD Vance is lying to you. There is absolutely no correlation between undocumented immigrants and home shortages. ICE killed. There's a lot of reasons for the housing crisis. Has absolutely nothing to do with undocumented immigrants. ICE killed U.S. citizens, and you MAGA clap because you hate Americans who disagree with you. You dehumanize all of us to some degree. And I would just love to see one MAGA say that Donald Trump sitting there asking for $350 million to combat communism within our shore, when he defines the Democrats as being communists. Can any MAGA on here say that using the military against your political opposition is wrong if Trump does that? Will you say that? Will you have the courage to say that? Or will you just say, just get in line with that too? Because you got in line with murdering American citizens already. This message is held for review, followed by the option reviewer hide. That's what I see. You can laugh about it. That's what it is. ICE is the modern Gestapo. MAGA. I would say there is one big difference between ICE and the Gestapo is ICE didn't wear masks to hide their faces. Or Gestapo weren't so ashamed of what they were doing. They had to wear masks to hide their faces. If I don't click one, it defaults to hide. The Blue Nami is coming. Nazis were Christian nationalists. MAGAs were Christian nationalists. I don't know if the Nazis were Christian nationalists. There's a lot of, I would say they maybe in some ways they were Christian in the same way MAGAs are, in that they've just kind of usurped the word Christian, and it had nothing to do with the actual reality of being a Christian. Legal migrant workers pick strawberries. Yes, and so do undocumented migrant workers. I think it's actually for specifically strawberries, it's like 60% of the people that do that are illegal, because the farmers can't afford to have legal migrants do it. The thing is these are not, I'm not saying things off the cuff of my top of my head. I've actually studied these things and read these things and like looked at studies from, places like Wharton. I'm not just spewing nonsense. I'm not just repeating something that I heard on Fox News or Newsmax or whatever. Yes, legal migrant workers pick strawberries. So do undocumented migrant workers. And so do American citizens. But most of the people that are doing the strawberry picking are undocumented immigrants. And here's the thing. If you have like 40% of your workers are undocumented, you don't lose 40% of your profit. You lose your strawberry farm because you lose 40% of your gross profit, and that is all of your profit, plus some of what you had to borrow to like plant your strawberries in the first place. And then when you add on the extra cost because of Trump's tariffs and Trump's war and the increased cost in fertilizer and all that kind of stuff, they're already struggling. Why do you think, I forget, we've had like last year, like how many, we've been there, and this goes back to decades. But I'm just looking up so last year 315 U.S. family farms filed for Chapter 12 bankruptcy, which is the bankruptor chapter is specifically created for family farmers and fishermen. That was 315 filings in 2025, up 46% from 2024. And over the last, for the last several decades, the number of family farms has gone from like, I can't remember, like 500,000 to like 300. I can't remember. I don't want to say the numbers that I can't remember. But I think it's decreased like 20%, and it's supposed to decrease another 20% over the next 5 years. Family farms we're talking about here. We're not talking about corporate farmers. Family farms are the ones that primarily employ the illegal immigrants. They're just the ones that are trying to keep afloat and make their living. See you letter 7. Yes, it's why Trump tried to nullify Democratic elections tonight in his stupid speech. The Declaration of Independence literally has a prayer at the end. The Declaration of Independence is not, and I know this is going to shock you, the Constitution. The founders were largely deists. Yeah, there were Christians and there were deists, and there were atheists and there were humanists. And that's why there is a clear distinction in the both, like there's the Second Amendment has both protects the religions from the government and government from religion. Remember, a lot of the people that came over here were Christian. I'm not saying they weren't, but they were Christians that were coming over here because they were persecuted by the government. And so that's why there's a freedom clause and an establishment clause. Right? There's no like, you're free to practice whatever religion you want, but there's also, the government can't establish any religion. And what you have right now is you have this veering off into the establishment clause, that other people have to behave the way that your religion dictates. And the problem with that is that eventually it will be you who are being persecuted. The Catholics persecuted the Protestants. Then the Protestants persecuted the Catholics. It works both ways. Whoever's in power persecutes the other. Oh, so I'm not as well. You're just obdurate. You're not sensitive. I think, well, maybe Brett says you are sensitive. That's why you're here. You're miserable and you're just coming on these kinds of channels to try to shut it down. Why don't you just go to Fox or nobody? Yeah, this is a good point. Nobody is making you be here. But so why are you here? I think Brett has a good question. Why are you here? Are you here to just muddy the waters? Are you just here to try and, steer the conversation away? Are you here to actually engage in honest debate? Or, like, if you're here in honest debate, then honest debate requires both listening and speaking. And I've addressed every concern that you've brought up, and you have not responded one time to my response to you. So I'm only left to conclude that you're only here to like throw wrenches in the conversation. You're not here to have one. Go away if you don't want to be involved in a conversation. Censor yourself. Even as an altered copy of a Bible. Jefferson even has an altered copy of the Bible. The Jefferson Bible, it removes divinity claims from Jesus. Interesting. Jefferson believed Jesus was a good moral teacher, but didn't believe he was divine. I think Jefferson might be the one that had I think he had some changes in his beliefs. I know Thomas Paine was a deist or a humanist. There were some others that Benjamin Franklin was an atheist. Right back, dude. Right back at me. I don't know if you're talking to me or Brett, but this is my channel. I'm the one that gets to establish the conversation on my stream. All I've heard is let them in so we can exploit their labor. Then you haven't been listening. You've just been ignoring what I'm saying, because I've already explained that is not at all the case, and I'm not going to do it again. If you missed it the first time, hit the rewind button, go back and listen to it again, because nobody else heard that. If you heard that, then you're not listening. The only folks who don't benefit are businesses that take advantage of their workers, especially if they are legal. And there is some of that, like with some of the meat packing plants where, like Purdue or whatever, there are some employers that, are there to exploit the workers and stuff. But I think that there's also this vilification of anybody that pays undocumented workers. And a lot of the people that pay for undocumented workers are just doing it because that's the only way they can keep their business alive. Because it's just too expensive to hire legal immigrants, because it's $7,000 per worker. So do the math. If it's $7,000 per season per worker, and you need 10 workers, and you're making $50,000 a year, well, then you're losing $20,000 a year. Your workers are paying more than you are making more than you are. So we need to change the laws. The laws of nature and the laws of God, another reference, their creator and supreme judge of the world, and then divine providence. And he still wasn't blocked, hidden, or timed out. I'm open-minded. It's just the ideas that are stupid. But you won't actually directly address any of the ideas. I have told you. If you make them legal, then they are legally protected. That means that they have to be protected the same way as any American citizen, in terms of how much they make, in terms of worker protections, in terms of things like, OSHA laws. All right. You're saying that I want them exploited. No, I am saying if you change the law so that they are working here legally, they can't be exploited. All right. So I've said that. I've addressed your complaint. You will not have the courage to actually acknowledge that I said that. That's the problem with you, Bobcat. That's your problem. You don't know how to have a conversation that's honest. You just sit there and you'll pretend I never said that for the 5th time. Not everything is racist, but racism is systemic. And a lot of the times people sit there and say everything is racist. It's because something was racist. Like, everything is racist doesn't mean nothing is racist. Like, some things are racist, right? just yelling, oh, everything is racist, doesn't mean nothing is racist. Donald Trump posted pictures of Obama's as apes. That's racist. Stephen Miller is racist. Our whole immigration history of our whole history of immigration laws are literally racist. And I don't mean that, abstractly. The first law we passed about immigration, like the first restriction on immigration was called the Chinese Immigration Act, Chinese Restriction Act. It prevented people from China from being able to immigrate. That was racist. I'm sorry if that bothers you, but it is racist to say Chinese people can't immigrate because they're Chinese. How is that not racist? That is as specifically racist as you can get. And I can't remember the name of the law, but around the 1920s, there was a law that was passed that said that you could only immigrate based on previous immigration, right? So you could come over here if you were from Ireland. They put quotas based on historic patterns. Of course, it didn't include the Africans, but it was specifically geared to keep not just Black people and brown people from immigrating, also included like Italian people and Eastern Europeans from immigrating. It was only like the white people from Germany and England, and like the real white people. Then in the 50s, there was Operation Wetback. And it's always the southern border that Donald Trump is complaining about. He never talks about Russians coming over here. He talks about the shithole countries, where the Black people are. Why can't we have the good ones come over here? And then he says Norway, where the white people are. So yeah, some things are racist. And when you literally make it about race, when you literally make the only people that can come over here and declare asylum are people that are being persecuted with white genocide, a made-up thing, then that's racist. If you're saying only white people can come over here, don't tell me it's not racist. Victim card exploiter, more likely. Okay, I'm not a victim. Victim mentality is for the weak and lazy. You're acting like those two things are mutually exclusive. Everything you hear you're saying here is weak and lazy. I'll make a deal with you. The next time YouTube holds one of your comments for comments for review, I'll make your dreams come true and be the bad guy and make you leave, okay? I don't think we're going to be hearing much from Bobcat on that. Wait, guys, I've seen the light. You're right about everything. See, you can't actually respond to anything. Like, you can't. Either you can't or you won't. Or that if you do, you have to admit that I'm actually right. So even when you say I'm right, you have to be sarcastic about it. If they're being paid by pound, then they're not getting $15 an hour. I don't know how much they're getting. They're making $15 an hour and they're getting paid by volume or weight or whatever. I don't know why you think that getting paid by pound means that they can't get. Anyway, have you done strawberry picking and how much weight somebody can harvest in an hour? That's kind of a weird comment, Kevin. Bob is just another derailer. This is the end of the conversation I'm having with her. Oh, is Bobcat a female? Oh, you are a victim of your own ignorance. All the corruption by Trump's government will hit you. Yeah, and then she'll blame it on Biden. TDS is real with this. Oh, we got a TDS. Boom, 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 boom. Give that man a prize. He said TDS. He must know what he's talking about. Just think he's going to live rent-free. Oh, yeah. Yeah, he lives rent-free in my head. Oh, there's another one. I think we might have a MAGA Tourette's triple here for another 2.5 years. Oh, we got the triple. Oh, he's still going to be president for 2.5 years. Liberal tears. I'm surprised you didn't put liberal tears in there and gone for the foursome. You said all of that and not a damn thing. Trump admin was good for me, both terms. Biden admin, yeah, sure. still can actually enter the conversation. Fly Eagles. We got an Eagles fan. That's right. You're from Philadelphia. Why are you a communist? I'm not. How's that for an answer? What's a communist? Crickets. I am actually not for the state owning the means of what is it, production and distribution. I'm not for that. Communists are people who put ketchup on hot dogs. I put ketchup on hot dogs, but I'm still not a communist. Walter, are you from Chicago originally? Like Chicago, they're really like they're violent about like if you do put ketchup on hot dogs, you have to like hide it so nobody can see it. It's like if you get ketchup when you order your hot dog, you have to pretend it's because so you can put it on your fries. Well, there are work programs, but they chose not to use them. But there aren't. There aren't work programs that they choose not to use. Like, please go and read about what you're talking about. Look at the number of programs. Like just I don't want to go into the whole thing. I have like had immigration lawyers on this show talking about this very type of thing. Like you don't know what you're talking about, Kevin. Like this is just an objectively wrong statement. People claiming to be socialist are really communist. Nice try. I know. Robert, there is a difference between socialism and communism. And communism, what do you mean by communist? Do you mean an authoritarian? Because it seems to me like Donald Trump is an authoritarian. Whether he's a communist or a fascist, it almost doesn't matter. The people, even the democratic socialists believe in the democratic part of it. Like they want socialism to a degree, not complete socialism, but they want to achieve that through democratic means. That's why they're called democratic socialists. Donald Trump doesn't like the democratic part of it. That's why he wants to sick the U.S. military on the people that don't vote for him, which is really scary. You should be about like if you're afraid of communism, then you should be afraid of fascism. You should just be bothered by authoritarianism. So I am not from. Are you from Chicago area? So yeah, Lee's asked the same thing about the hot dog thing. Like Chicago, you just like it's. I'm actually surprised it's not against the law to put ketchup. I don't know. Like before I moved to Chicago, I never heard you're not allowed to have ketchup on hot dogs. But boy, like I was sitting there putting ketchup on my hot dog because I like ketchup on my hot dogs, and like people were looking at me with open hostility, like somebody was going to stab me with their fork. My husband is from Chicago. Ketchup on hot dogs is sacrilege. It's like you guys have no idea. It's like more of a reaction than pineapple on a pizza in the most anti-pineapple on pizza place. Nancy says I'm talking out of my butt and gives me thumbs down. Once again, another MAGA that challenges me but won't say what I said that's wrong. Again, MAGA should be MACA. Make America cowardly again. They never have the courage to actually say what's wrong. My lawn guy is here illegally. I like paying cheap labor. You don't. What kind of nonsense is that? I was born here, Nancy. Trump never lies, unlike the radical left lunatics led by the Joe Biden climate. Are you a real person? Can I ask you, when he said that the Iran war was over, did he lie? When he said that the Iran's, because he said these two things, right? He said that Iran was going to nuke us if he didn't do something, and he said that Iran's nuclear capability had been obliterated. So how is he telling the truth both times? He says mutually exclusive things. When he says mutually exclusive things, he has to be lying about one of them. And he'll say mutually exclusive things in the same paragraph. And by the way, Joe Biden has never been convicted of a crime. Donald Trump has. Trump lies to his wife. Yes, Trump lies to his wife daily. Trump lied to all of his wives when he said he wasn't gonna cheat. When he said that they were gonna, you know, like when he said his wedding vows were a lie. When he took the oath of office, his oath was a lie. Obviously, the housing crisis is caused by mass migration. It's a simple fact of supply and demand. No, that's not obvious, and it's not true. It's not. Like, it's just not. It's a supposition that's built on stupidity and racist thought. MAGA are peds. What's your point? I don't think all MAGA are peds. I just think all MAGA are pedophile apologists. Not really. Mass migration is not the issue. No one can afford to buy one. Oh, we got another mask comment. Another, like, what is with the mask today? I think you're onto something, Brett. I think that what's happening is they want to, like, remind everybody of 2020. You know, it's all preparation for tonight's Lie of the Union address. Oh, we're now got a Democrats are communists, want to impose dictatorship. Says the people that are supporting the idea of the U.S. military being sicked on everybody that disagrees with them and prop up Donald Trump as a dictator. Just breaking the law doesn't classify you as an illegal. Entering a country. Okay. No. If you're saying that they can be called illegals because they broke the law, then you don't get to go and define what laws qualify. You're just trying to sound like a racist apologist, and it's working. Only dictators have troops in the streets for over a year. Yes. The Democrats that don't want to, like, make it illegal for people to vote against them are the dictators. And the Democrats that don't want the military there at the voting polls, they're the dictators. I lived in a dictatorship in Liberia, West Africa. And they had the military walking all around all the time. I remember one time I got in a cab. You could take a cab anywhere in Monrovia for 25 cents. So I get in a cab, and, you know, it's like if you got in a cab, you could pay 25 cents to go anywhere you wanted, but you'd have to share the cab with anybody else that the cabbie picked up along the way. So the guy goes along and he picks up a couple of military guys, and they get in there with their M16s. And one of them sitting there toying with his gun. And he's like, looks at me. He's like, oh, so you're American? I'm like, yeah. And he says, you know, isn't Liberia the greatest country in the world? While he's like fiddling with his gun. I'm like, sure, you know. You're not going to argue with somebody holding an M16, right? So no skin off my back. It didn't change any realities in my mind. But yeah, the guy that has, you know, the National Guard walking around armed, now I guess they've killed somebody. Yeah. That's the guy. That's the guy that's not the dictator. How many times did Joe Biden employ the National Guard to make sure that people couldn't vote. The best way to judge someone is by past behavior. We already know Trump tried to rig the 2020 election. If he had not been reelected, he would have been convicted of election interference. And really, he should have been. They should have pushed that, like, they should have appointed a special counsel on day one. Son, I'm happy to debate, but let's debate and not just engage in, stupid conversation. You don't want to debate. You just want to say stupid things and act like that's debating. Yes, Trump is trying to rig this next midterm election. We have already seen several prongs of this. SAVE Act attempt, insisting states give over their voting rolls, which, by the way, is part of the SAVE Act. And now, he asked for $350 million to keep, to fight the war against communism in our own borders, while he is calling the Democratic Party communists. I need you to process that, people. He is calling the Democratic Party communists and asking for money so the U.S. military can fight the communists. And Mike Johnson is just ready to jump right on board with that. Donald Trump wants to use the American military against the American people. He wants my tax dollars to pay to shoot me. So yeah, if I call him a fascist, you have to deal with that. It's hard to debate you. YouTube is flagging your crazy comments. You are, okay. So I guess there's something that he was trying to debate, but it was so stupid that even YouTube flagged it. Okay, and then another Trump derangement syndrome. Every time you want to say Trump, every time I see somebody say Trump derangement syndrome, I see it as surrender. Okay, you're right, but I'm, don't want to admit it, so I'm just going to say Trump derangement syndrome. What's wrong? Worried I will embarrass you. No, because you don't even know how to spell embarrass. The only thing deranged is an old man who wants to get his face on a coin. You'll have to argue with YouTube, Michael. Michael, I can guarantee you, I have never been less afraid of debating someone than you. Last time there were checks on his authoritarianism, such as Barr refusing to go along with the lies, Georgian governor refusing to give him 11,000 unearned votes. It's not like we don't have that tape. Donald Trump tried to interfere with the 2020 election. They're like, to deny that is to deny the sun rises. It's not under my control. Your comments are literally being snagged before I can even see them. Nobody is afraid to debate you, Michael. How about you just type out your thing that you want to debate? Instead of this is like one of the troll things they do is they just go on and on and on about how nobody wants to debate, but they won't actually engage in debate. They're just, oh yeah. And then they're like, oh, I won. They were afraid to debate me. What do you want to debate, Michael? Let's have a fact-based discussion. The problem isn't that I don't want to debate. The fact is, the problem is you don't want to have a fact-based discussion. If the country is able to survive the midterms, then I believe there is hope. Unfortunately, I'm not sure it's possible. I think that Donald Trump is getting increasingly desperate. And so the more desperate he gets, the more unhinged he gets. The more unhinged he gets, the more he starts to even lose MAGA. Like he's even after, he's never gotten into the low 30s like he is now. And the other part of that is the disapproval rating. is like getting up to 65, 66%. Like 2 out of 3 Americans disapprove of Donald Trump's performance. So this is like the Republicans are going to get smashed in the next election. Even in Texas, Talarico is running even. The Texas governor race is within the margin of error. That's done. Abbott beat Beto by 11 points 4 years ago. And Beto was supposed to be like, you know, the one that people could cling around. I know of women, I can't even remember her name. Nobody's even heard of her, and she's running neck and neck with Abbott. Because he's tied himself to Trump. And in fairness to Abbott, some of his stuff isn't so bad. Like, he's actually been good for green energy, which no Republican will want to talk about. But the culture war stuff, he's just unhinged on. Like, he's like putting razor wires to murder immigrants. Like, it's like MAGA is just like killing immigrants is cool. You know, and it's like, oh, yeah, I'm on the, and it's like, you're supposed to be pro-life. But that's all right. Murder a man that's here legally in front of his own child and drag him out of his car while he's dead, drag his lifeless body out of the car and bash his head against the street, then handcuff his lifeless corpse while his child watches, and tell me about how pro-life you are. This time there is no restraints. He has fired everyone in government who is not in his cult. And it's like they have to take an oath of loyalty, literal oath of loyalty. You read Project 2025. Part of it was like that they would have to take a loyalty oath even to get a job, not just in the cabinet, but anywhere. This time there are no restraints. He has fired everyone in government who is not in his cult. Bill Gates is the most evil man on earth. Musk, Trump, cabal, Bibi, bankers, all trying to keep us divided. I don't know how Bill Gates became the ringleader of all this. It's all so weird. I don't think that there is an evil cabal. Well, maybe some of them, but I don't know if Bill Gates is. I never understood like the hate, like Bill Gates in particular became somehow anyway. I think that like one thing I like about Bill Gates is when he was the richest man in the world, his dad told him, "You're the richest man in the world. Why aren't you the biggest philanthropist in the world?" And kind of gave him a verbal spanking. And Bill Gates said, "You know what? You're right." And so then he started doing philanthropy. Wish Elon Musk could take that lesson. Apparently, this guy doesn't even see what I'm typing. Definitely a closed mind. Doesn't hear what I'm saying either. We have been debating for hours now. Do so in a civil manner. I can see but didn't violate any. If YouTube is automatically filtering it, we don't have any control over that, Michael. Take it up with YouTube. You all loved Bill Gates until he stood up for truth and would not violate his oath of office for Trump's lies. Bill Gates was never what? When did Bill Gates take an oath of office? Bill Gates was never in office. Oh, Bill Barr. Okay, gotcha. Yeah. When Bill Barr came in, and like one thing I've always wondered about is that how the Mueller report was turned in like a week after Bill Barr came into office. Like, was it actually over? We'll never know. Would you classify yourself as a socialist? If not, you're doing a great imitation. What have I said that's socialist? Trump, like I've disagreed with Trump being I would call myself a mixed capitalist. I think I prefer the term mixed capitalist. I believe some things are better left to private enterprise and some things are better done by the government. I want my military to be operated by the government. I don't want a private military. And I want my grocery store or, my clothing store, my merchandise to be privately made and sold. I want private businesses. I want to be able to drive my own car and have my own house. I think that what we need is a mix of the two things. I think that the things that are essential, I want my streets to be publicly funded. I want my healthcare insurance to be publicly funded. I like Mamdani's idea for socialized grocery stores, where it's not exclusively socialized grocery stores, but an option. I think we could do more that way, where, there is an option for a government owned, but it doesn't preclude privately owned. I'm for mixed capitalism. But, I know that won't work in your binary, either absolute capitalism or absolute socialism view. I'm doing my best to manually approve your comments, but a few slipped through, and when I reviewed them, they were gross. So yeah, there's that. No one is forcing religion, but a certain group is forcing ideology. Okay, who is forcing ideology? If I say that trans people should be able to exist and live as trans people, am I forcing ideology? I'm not mandating that somebody be trans. I am allowing for trans people to exist. If somebody says that, they can't, then who's forcing ideology on whom? I'm of the belief that people should be able to live their life however they want to live, as long as they don't prevent somebody else's from being able to live their life the way they want to live. Live and let live. But you have some people that want to outlaw trans people. So funny how the cult is a program this week. So speak about nothing but their confusion between socialism. Yeah, it's all kind of tied together, right? And then the mask thing, we've had 25 mask comments out of nowhere. Michael, why do MAGAs do this? Just talk about what you want to talk about instead of talking about what you didn't talk about when you wanted to talk about something else and then got milled. It's just say something that matters. Let it go. They are not Christians. Don't ever think they are Christians. Okay, yeah. Jesus was a socialist. He said, if you have 2 cloaks, give one to your brother. Actually, he didn't say that. He said, what he said actually goes beyond that. If you actually read it, he said, if somebody asks for your tunic, give him your cloak also. He didn't say give one. He said, if somebody asks for your tunic, give him your cloak also. So first of all, if somebody asks for your shirt, give him your coat. The tunic was like a shirt, your cloak was your coat. And he said, give it to him also, meaning give him both. I like what James Tallarico said. James Tallarico is an actual Christian. And James Tallarico said, imagine how much better the world would be if everyone claiming to be a Christian loved their neighbors the way the Bible says. Or loved their enemies the way the Bible says. And I just love that quote. That's a Christian quote. So try to educate. You haven't said anything substantive, Michael. Trump is a Nazi. He has Nazi-esque traits, but I would say he's a fascist more than I would say he's a Nazi. He's a different kind of fascist. He's his own. He's a MAGA. Because otherwise you end up getting in debates about whether or not, well, he hasn't killed 6 million Jews. That's your bar. If somebody's bar is Trump hasn't killed 6 million Jews yet, that's a pretty low bar. There is no debating a Trump cultist anyway. They live in an absolute delusional world of Trump lies and have been trained never to do research. They just don't understand facts from Trump's delusion. And the more Donald Trump spirals down, the more they go with him. The MAGAs are getting even more unhinged as Donald Trump gets more unhinged. They refuse to distance themselves from him. Trump is not a Nazi. He's okay, but he quotes Hitler and he does things Hitler did. Like when he's talking about poisoning the blood of our nation, that he got that from Hitler. He's got his little own private army going around asking people for papers and killing them if they don't give him them. He's got concentration camps. He wants to use the army against American citizens who are communists. The whole, remember how the poem starts? First they came for the communists, then they came for the socialists. So whether he's a Nazi or not, he is certainly Nazi adjacent. No, Trump is not a Nazi, but he is trying to be a fascist dictator as Hitler was. Yeah, he's his own kind of special fascist. And with his own hate and his own, unhinged ideology. He has self-identified Nazis over to Mar-a-Lago for dinner. Just ask Nick Fuentes. He supports the Proud Boys, who are self-identified as Nazis. He doesn't distinguish, he doesn't exclude listening to Nazis, but he excludes listening to Democrats. Oh, and by the way, Nikki, have I seen you here? I don't think I've seen you here before, but welcome to the channel. I like your comments. You seem like a smart person. I like you. In any debate, they have only 3 moves: lie, change the subject, or insult the people with the facts. Yes, and I got to get, I'm working on this game. I'm going to have a MAGA Tourette's card. It's like bingo. And instead of bingo, it'll be Trump. And then, it's like TDS will be the free space. And then there'll be a series of random Trumpisms that they shout out every time they don't want to hear a fact. Okay, who have they killed and celebrated the death of? Alex Preddy, Renee Good. There's a couple for you. Every single time. You are a Jew, right? No, I am not a Jew, and I don't appreciate anti-Semitism anyway. All they have to do is a 10-second Google search for anything Trump says tonight, and they could find out it's a lie, but they wouldn't do it. No, because Google is liberal-owned or whatever. Everything is like, anything that disagrees with them, it's because they're just out to get Trump and hate Trump. There is a process. Yes, we've already been through all that, blah, 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 blah. You know what? Not going through that process is, you're not allowed to murder people because they crossed the border illegally. And by the way, Alex Preddy was an American citizen. Renee Good was an American citizen. The guy that was in Maine was here legally. And just being an undocumented immigrant is not a capital offense on the spot. You don't get to kill people just because they're here illegally. Do you even hear yourself? As Mark Twain said, it's easier to fool someone than to convince them they have been fooled. That is, I call that my favorite fake Mark Twain. It's attributed to him often, but it's like apocryphal. But it very much sounds like something he would say. And my other one is Bill Murray. And this is another one where it's attributed to him, but I don't know if he actually said it. But it's easier to win an argument with a smart person, or it's hard to win an argument with a smart person, but it's damn near impossible to win one with a stupid person. I guarantee you did not care until you were told to care by Trump. Just pick up another. This subject has been done to death. They are so devoted to their delusion that Trump's lies are a reality, because to recognize they have been conned by a con man makes them look really stupid. Right. And they just, I call it like, it's like a sunk cost theory, right? They've just kept, from when he did his handicap thing and made fun of the guy with the handicap, and they defended him on that. And then everything he says, no matter how evil, no matter how wrong, they feel like they have to defend that. Otherwise, they have to admit that they were wrong about all the previous stuff. And that means if they admit they defended him while he was doing all these really crappy things, that means they're a really crappy person. And they'd have to like actually stop being crappy, but they don't want to admit they're being crappy. It's not about Trump anymore. It's about them. They've identified with him to such a point that to acknowledge he is bad means that they are bad. Like, and so they just refuse to admit it no matter what it is. He's literally cheering on the death of American citizens, and they still won't say it's wrong. That's funny. I don't know what's funny. So I won that debate already. Cool. I don't know what debate you won, or I have no idea what you're talking about. What are your thoughts on the news headlines relating to parasite causing explosive diarrhea? The last I looked at that, they weren't sure what the cause was, but I mean, I think that, you know, when you start loosening regulations at the FDA, you start to see a pattern, right? There's that one. There's all, you know, there's the screw worm. You start seeing these things. It's hard to not see a relationship between, well, we used to regulate these things to prevent this from happening. Now this is happening after we stopped regulating those things. It's hard to not like add 1 and 1 and get 2 out of that. They cannot argue the facts because all the facts are against them. They don't even know what the facts are. If you tell them the facts, they're so much in denial that they call you stupid and deranged and lying. They're not just under a bubble. They're under a bubble on an island in a different planet, in a different solar system, in an alternate universe. They are so far removed from reality, they can't recognize it. Trump is owned by Israel, and I hate that. I mean, I don't think he's owned by Israel. And I mean, there's like, I am against Israel and Bibi and what they're doing to Gaza, but please don't let that stem into anti-Semitism. Jesus was a socialist. He was. Who cares what Jefferson believed? We're just glad no one forced him to believe something that he had freedom of religion. Even Trump is better than Biden or Obama. Okay, that's a very hollow opinion. The point is, I mean, I would just point out that when you look at the actual, you know, facts, that is an objectively false statement in terms of their impact on the economy. The point is they all had the freedom to think whatever they wanted. And they all thought that everybody should have the opinion. You immediately bailed out on the debate. I don't even know who you are. What debate did I bail out on? When did I get cornered? This is like you just jumped in, started declaring victory. We have covered the subject 3 times. And oh, did she say something about the immigrants? Yeah. Brett, like I've covered the whole thing like 5 different times. I don't know what you were here for, but there's only so many times I can rehash the exact same thing. Go back and listen to the whole stream if you want to know what my answer is. I can't just reset the conversation every time a new person enters the chat. Every year, the list of presidents, best to worst, come out, and the list is made by historians who rate the presidents by what's accomplished. Junior Ivy League history professors. Trump comes in last. I say that it's not fair to say that Trump is the worst president in American history. He's the 2 worst presidents in American history. He's 47 is even worse than 45. You've never seen me, and yet you're declaring victory when I don't even know what you're talking about. Actually, Israel is not particularly happy with Trump right now. Oh, Veronix Gaming. What a joke! Claims never seen him before. His chat history goes back months. Oh, did somebody get caught in a lie? Iran knows that Trump is desperate to stop the war before the midterms. They hate him for bombing their country and killing their leaders. They will not allow the war to stop. And yeah, Iran hasn't, like, first of all, Iranians aren't stupid. I mean, just as a people, they're actually one of the most educated countries. And neither is the Iranian leadership. You know that they have a pulse on American culture and American society just by the Lego videos. The Lego videos are hilarious. Even the concept of the Lego videos is hilarious. No one in the Gulf has any idea what we are still fighting over. Yeah, it used to be that we were fighting them to end from nuclear to so that they wouldn't be able to fire nuclear weapons that they didn't have. Now it's to keep the Straits of Hormuz open, but they were open before we attacked them. Where's my bingo card? I bet that was typed right when somebody was saying something about TDS. First two entries. Which do you think was better and why? I'm studying the economy under both Trump first term and Biden. Okay, there's a problem with this question, is that Trump and Biden inherited two different economies. Like, it's not like somebody just, it's not an Etch-a-Sketch where you just wipe the whole thing clean and then you start from zero. Biden inherited like 6% or like 8% inflation, global pandemic, that would, like, the peak of the global pandemic, by the way. The most social unrest in like 60 years, going back to the 60s. Like a deeply, deeply divided country. Barack Obama, or Donald Trump, in his second term, inherited the most thriving economy in the world. Joe Biden took the crap that was left to him by Trump and ended the pandemic. Well, at least almost ended it. Returned everything back to normal. In 2020, there was a report by the Congressional Budget Office that said, optimistically, we'd get inflation back down to 6% by the end of 2024. He had it below 40% or 4% by the end of 2021. He had one of the lowest inflation, or one of the lowest unemployment rates in the history of the country. He had record jobs when he left office. Like, Donald Trump talks about how the stock market had record highs under him. The stock market had record highs under Obama, or under Biden, and Obama, and Trump, and Bush, and every single president since FDR. You want to talk about, like, if you really want to talk about who had more success under, whose economy did better, by every blanket measure, Biden's economy was better, except for one thing, which is completely misleading, which is inflation. Inflation was up under Biden, not because of Biden. It was actually up because of Trump in large part, and his irresponsible, reckless reaction to COVID that only made things worse with the supply. We had the worst country in the we had the worst country in the entire world when it came, at least the first, the industrialized world. We had the worst response to COVID. He lies every time he opens. So then inflation was a large part of Biden bringing back the economy strongly, which led to more people spending money, which led to prices going up. When after demand had gone down because of Trump and his reaction to COVID, leading to everybody staying home and not spending money. He lies every time he opens that mouth of his. Well, yeah. Unless he's opening it to pleasure Putin. Do you ever put water on your toothbrush before or after you? Do you put water on your toothbrush before or after you put toothpaste on it? I never even heard of putting it on before. I do it after. It is such an insult to the right-wing base that Trump thinks he can convince the democratic socialism is communism. That's how dumb they think. It's like an argument from 1980. Donald Trump is really stuck in the 80s in a lot of ways. Only his base doesn't know what socialism means, or what democratic socialism is, or what social democracy is. I say we should just refer to it as mixed capitalism, because that's what it is, but I think it's something that is easier to understand. Can we just go back to isolationism and just not care what the rest of the world does? No, we can't. We can't. I mean, it's just we can't. It would devastate us economically to do that. Who cares what happens halfway across the world? Everybody with a brain. Socialism is working all over Europe, and it hasn't turned into communism. And they just like to run around talking about, oh, socialism is it's a slippery slope. And it's just like, you know what's a slippery slope? Fascism. There never was a period of isolationism. It was just a lie. Trump sold the cult to avoid helping Ukraine because he has compromised to Russia. Facts. That's the greatest trick that Trump has played. Turn MAGA idiot games against their own citizens, hating them for getting $100 in food while they steal billions, and you applaud it. Like, can you imagine, like, if Joe Biden had pardoned a drug trafficker and gotten like $2 billion in free Bitcoin afterwards, and it's just a coincidence? Tell me POTUS number 39 didn't steal Iranian money in 1979. POTUS 30. Tell me POTUS 39 didn't steal Iranian money in 1979, and then, okay, that didn't happen. Jimmy Carter froze Iranian assets in 1979 in reaction to them taking the Iranians hostage. Then in then Obama gave some of that money, their money, back to them. Trump is the Homelander. Trump likes to think he's a Homelander, but Homelander actually had superpowers and a brain that wasn't complete and total pudding. Remember Trump convincing the cult we shouldn't give money to Ukraine because we have so many problems in the U.S. and we need the money for them? Then the first day in office, Doge cuts all services to the middle class. A little bit hyperbolic, but not entirely. MAGA are too devoted to Trump to recognize that we've had socialism in our government for many years. Roads, infrastructure, fire, and police, etc. They have no concept of anything other than what Trump says is God speaking. I lived in Chicago. You can enjoy your hot dogs any way you want. I never actually was physically assaulted. I did get dagger eyes for putting ketchup on my hot dogs. America started out on platforms closer to isolationism and mainly staying out of the issues. Was that we have nothing to do with? Why do I care what happens in Eurasia? But did you know that the first mention of secession by the South was over tariffs? And the North wanted to put high tariffs on, was it high? Can't remember which way it went. Anyway, South Carolina Exposition by John C. Calhoun. I think it was written in 1839. And it was a protest against the tariff policy of the North. And basically what was happening is the South had to sell their cotton to the North, and then the North could sell the manufactured stuff back to them. And the tariffs were high on the imported goods, so that the North's manufactured stuff wouldn't, the South would have to buy those. They couldn't be undercut by imports. And so that it just resulted in an automatic wealth transfer from the South to the North. And that was the first that was the first mention of secession, was John C. Calhoun's South Carolina Exposition. If MAGA gets their way, every place in the United States will look like West Virginia, and they'll be proud of it. That's their goal. They want a bunch of poor white people. That's MAGA's goal. They want everybody to be poor and white and licking the boots of the Epstein class. Social Security is socialism, you idiots. GOP intentionally turning you against it so they can stop this program. Oh, so I think she got filtered in then. Apologies, that was accidental. Are you seriously this uneducated? No, I don't know what I said that's uneducated. Like, I don't know how stating true things makes me uneducated. Thanks for being the only one listening to me, Brett. I'm listening to you, Nikki. Go on the SSRs. Go outside and... I don't know what you're trying to say. I think that's just an ad hominem attack to, like, avoid actual substance. Holy crap, dude. Go see your grandchildren or something. This can't be good for your blood pressure. And you're on a watch list, apparently. Another watch list person. So now showing ID to vote is somewhat... I didn't say it was racist. Yet 100... Where did I say that? This guy is what is wrong in this country, liberal. Okay. They just, like, either they just make up stuff that I said, or they just scream words. My pronouns are he, him. I don't know why we got a pronouns shout out. I think pronouns is going to have to go on the bingo card. Glenn must be really Glenn Beck. So they say liberal like a curse word, and they have no idea that I don't even know what liberal means anymore. I don't know what liberal is or leftist is, or, you know, even like if you talk to people that say I'm a liberal and I'm not a leftist, I don't know what that means. Like, even people that claim to be those things don't even seem to be consistent in what that means. There are 11 temporary worker visa categories. Most applicants for temporary worker visas must have an approved petition. Right. But in terms of most of those, there's only 2 that you can get if you don't have a college degree. And getting approved is not that easy. For the most part, if you don't have a family member living here and you don't have a college degree, it's very, very difficult to get into the United States. And temporary work visas are also temporary, right? There's no permanent work that there's no way to migrate over here. There's only a way to work over here temporarily. I am not a freaking communist, and I'm not even just a regular communist. I don't know what the difference between a freaking communist and a regular communist is, but I'm not a communist. Not liking Trump does not make somebody a communist. But that's what Trump wants you to believe, because he wants to sick the military on everybody that disagrees with him under the guise of communism. A conservative wants things to stay the same, which most certainly did not happen under the Trump administration. Liberals want things to change. Yes, we're liberal. Like, I don't understand what's so wrong with being a liberal, you know? Like, wanting children to have health care makes me a terrible person, then I'm a terrible person. I will gladly be a terrible person for thinking that we shouldn't have a country where you have to start a GoFundMe so your child doesn't die. If that makes me bad, I am bad, and I am proud to be bad. I'm bad to the bone. Bad. All right. Trump says that Christianity is a bad word. Yeah, this whole fake victimhood thing. Now they're even like trying to make daylight saving time, like the Sunshine Protection Act. Like the liberals, those darn liberals are trying to take away sunshine from us. I agree. Let's go, Brandon. Brandon kicked ass. The Islamic Republic of Japan. I'm #1 on TikTok. Would you like to ask President Putin a question? Pointing at Zelensky. And that was just in 5 minutes. Kofi, and what was the made up country in Africa? Like Donald, the airports in the revolution. I am proud to be from a family of Antifa patriots. My grandfather fought in World War II. My grandfather was Antifa. You're an idiot. No, I'm not. People use talk to text. Yes. Grammar Nazis are useless now. I don't know what you're talking about. You're blaming a computer that... Whatever. Funny how all of a sudden, if you correct somebody's grammar, you're a Nazi. But if you like kill American citizens for disagreeing with you, you're not a Nazi. I miss Obama having closed door meetings with Putin without a press secretary present. Now he's more flexible. Yeah, and especially when he did it without a translator and then came out and lifted Russian sanctions. Define what a woman is. A woman is somebody that covers her drink when you walk into a room. A female is something you will never have the privilege of having an intimate relationship with. Are we going to have elections now? Democrats, you voted for higher taxes. What do you think tariffs are? Abbott is a traitor to Texas. He has opened the floodgates to Indian immigration. Dallas looks like Mumbai. I haven't looked into that. It's an interesting thing. There are some I hate Greg Abbott with the passion of 1,000 hot and fiery suns. I will say that Texas economy has done fairly well under him, depending on which side of it you're on. I think that there's some serious K-shaped stuff going on. And he has been good for green energy, even though he won't run on that because he knows he would lose. But Texas right now, I think is, if I recall correctly, Texas actually has more green energy than any state in the country. The culture war along with the gender war. I mean, it's like what is a woman? That, like, you know, they lost the argument when they come in with what is a woman. Islam doesn't care about Republican and Democrat. They're overthrowing your cities while idiots like you blame Trump. Islam is not overthrowing any cities at all. None. They have not overthrown a single city. Mamdani won an election and he is a Muslim. But Mamdani is like the opposite of Islam, the way that you're trying to portray it. Islam doesn't advocate for gay rights and transgender rights. Like, people need to actually understand what they're talking about before they talk, and you do not understand what you're talking about. What do you have against people from India? It's a fair question. Obama administration, 30,000 pages of whatever. I have no idea what you're talking about. I don't seem to recall Obama's ICE killing American citizens on city streets. I will look into this, and if you're here tomorrow, Ruff, we can talk about it. But I have no idea what you're talking about, and there is so much, like, what humanitarian rights violations? What does 30,000 pages mean? Like, that's such a random thing. I can't keep up with these. Like, I don't think Obama was perfect, but I don't think that he was the authoritarian dictator violating human rights the way Donald Trump is. I hate Heritage Foundation. The Heritage Foundation and the Federalists, the two of them together. Every human being on planet Earth is just an undocumented American, and America is actually just a tax colony. I have that is not even worth responding to. Trump's lying is so dangerous. Why would any country make a treaty, ceasefire, etc., with your own country? It's so funny. He talked about the Iranians, and he said, you can't make a deal with them anyway because they're just going to turn around and break it. The guy who ended the deal with Iran is complaining that Iran is going to turn around and end the deal. With our country knowing he will likely lie and not comply with the terms or throw out the agreement later. He did. He like threw out his own agreement with the agreement with Mexico and Canada. He can't even keep his own agreements. The word of the U.S. is now soiled. It's right, and not worth its own paper. It's written on it. How many years will it take to regain the respect of our country used to have? Trump needs to be removed before the damage is too great. And that is a great comment. Thank you, Leslie. We need to realize this. Not everything that Trump is breaking can be fixed in 4 years. You don't sit there and wait until the bull is done charging through the China shop to try to get the bull out of the China shop. And all that China is not coming back together. And I'm not talking about the country. I'm talking about the plates. Pledge of Allegiance. Non sequitur. Trump 2028. YouTube is a beast. It's not like TikTok where the lies are feelings and not backed up with university and college educated links. They're easily available to put dishonest house in. I haven't said anything dishonest. And you haven't put me in my place. You've just said something. As a Republican, and by the way, if Obama has 30,000 whatever pages of human rights, doesn't change anything that Trump did. That's just a big butt Obama. Doesn't mean that Trump is good. If Obama was bad, it doesn't have any impact on whether Trump is good or bad. As a Republican, I want to remind we the people have a Second Amendment obligation to remove the tyrant Trump from our nation. Sic semper tyrannis. It's only a matter of time before a wonderful American puts Trump in the dirt, and that will. No, I'm sorry. I can't do that. I'm not going to advocate for violence on my stream, especially assassinating the president. No, I don't advocate for that. No, we're not going down that road. Government-owned liquor stores. Boy, that would really put MAGAs in a difficult position, right? If they have, like, if all the liquor was government-owned stores, MAGA would sober up, and then they might start being able to hear things and think cogently. That's kind of a brilliant strategy. I wish Harry was here. Yeah, you're by yourself again. I might have to look at finding another moderator. It's a lot. Someone needs to rein in their child who isn't smart enough to fill the shoes of a MOS of 52-B. Anyone getting Canadian wildfire smoke? This is turning into an every year thing. Yeah, my brother lives in Minnesota. He was posting about that this morning. Apparently it's really bad. I didn't realize it was in Philadelphia too. Red versus blue is so played out and antiquated. Wake up. It's us for... No, it's not us versus Israel. Could you please mod Dusty? Oh, Dusty would be a good one. If Dusty, if you're still here, would you mind being a mod? Dusty is a good choice. I'm in Pittsburgh. Visibility is down to less than a mile at this point. Wow. Does the USA send firefighters over like they did before you? Or what about when Canada sent firefighters over to Canada or to California? Tell me about the Palestinians who supported the Kaiser in World War I and Hitler in World War II. Tell me about the Palestinians who fought on the England, fought in, I think your history's upside down. England asked Palestine to join them and fight the Ottomans. And they did. Perhaps you need to do some history study. I don't know about Hitler in World War II. I don't understand what the relevance is. But you seem to like want to talk about things other than Trump. And we're talking about Trump. You're always trying to change the subject, Ruff. All you are is a big fat what about me stuffed with what about me's. The U.S. is already in the middle of its own fire season, but the smoke is already flowing here to the East Coast. That comment earned you some special attention. I thank you for the welcome. Wow, am I that far behind? I'm 35 minutes behind now. Google is not liberal owned. They actually donate a lot to Trump. And yes, they did. They gave a couple of $1 million to his vanity projects. Canadian wildfires have been a problem for about the last 2 years, which, by the way, is A, a result of climate change, and B, making climate change worse. But, you know, the Republicans think that's all a myth. But it's not, I think the second biggest, after the rainforest, the forestation up in the, like, because forestation doesn't recognize borders, but, you know, that area, I forget what it's called, but in Canada, and I think some of it's in Russia too, there's this, that they hold a lot of the carbon dioxide, and these fires release all that carbon dioxide, which is going to make global warming worse. It's one of the triggers. I can't remember the name of the forest, but maybe somebody knows it. I Need Atmosphere has a yellow tint, but it's not climate change, I guess. Yeah. No, dummy, you're stupid and making things up. Yes, I'm making things up. What did I make up? Trump always lies. Walter, I don't remember ever having smoke from anywhere else affecting us before. Philadelphia is a long way from Canada. If it's down to Philadelphia, that's got to be bad. And you're next to the ocean, so that means like the ocean breeze, you would think that would have an impact. Not next to the ocean, but relatively close to, you know, like Minnesota. Okay, anything else, Wordsmith? Listen tonight at 9 p.m. You'll learn something. No, I won't. If you learn anything from Donald Trump, then you were just gullible enough to vote for him 3 times. Code Red quality. I am definitely not MAGA. I'm like I tried to be MAGA, but I couldn't figure out how to get my head that far up my ass. We already know what he's going to say. He's going to, declare Democrats cheated with China. It's an attempt to overthrow the government and hold power. Nothing new. Donald Trump was president in 2020. I want you to remember that, people. Donald Trump was president in 2020. Whatever he says is his fault. Trump got a bribe from the producer of chicken and now has peeled back the regulations. on salmonella in our poultry. Wow. So it's only a matter of time before more outbreaks happen. We have an abandoned, maybe we should call that Purdue or not Purdue. That is the question. That's actually not bad. Get it? Purdue or not Purdue. We have an abandoned forest Soviet military area with left back munition burning in Germany. Wow. You are both type and talk. You both type and talk like children. Go away. Parts of our area are purple, including where I live. Indoors is best for everyone. Yes, there's a lot of air quality stuff warnings. Anthony, come back when you have a debate, not some unhinged crash out statement from a talking points list on a troll farm. See you in 24 hours. I guess we won't be hearing any more from Anthony. Anthony seems to do this. He comes in every day and says a few stupid things and gets put on mute. Obama and Biden never had $4 gas. Biden did, but it wasn't Biden's fault. The Lego videos by Iran are great. They are pretty good, aren't they? I wish I could do animations. You've been going hours. I know, I'm like on a marathon. It's 3.5 hours now. Dusty, I need you to get modeled. I can't help. 5:39. How far behind am I? I'm trying to speed through them and I'm not even catching up. I need you to get, yes, I'm going to put, Dusty, can you be a mod? You guys were the ones causing the unrest, divide, and COVID panic. No, we weren't. I wish they could declare that energy to the wild for smoke. ICMT. All right, and so Trump inherited in his second term a booming economy with record high stock market and record low unemployment, 2.9% inflation, as COVID was still resolving, and he tanked it. And there's a big, huge difference between gas prices skyrocketing under Trump and gas prices skyrocketing under Obama. Under Obama, it was Putin's fault. Under Trump, it was Trump's fault. I'm hoping Kelly notes. I'm asking for your mod. If I could do it from here, I would, Brett, but I can't do it from here. But I will definitely do it tomorrow or after this show. Because yeah, without Harry and without Kitty, you're kind of on an island. Historically, the Republicans destroy the economy. Then the Americans vote for Democrats who repair the economy. Yeah, it's like Bush. We were in a recession. Clinton took over, and then we actually had a surplus. And then Bush took over and brought us into a recession. And then Obama took over and brought us out of the recession. And then Trump took over and brought us into a recession. And then Biden took over and brought us out of a recession. Now Trump took over and we're back zooming towards another recession. I'm too radical to be a mod. If he ever blows up, he's going to be hours behind. I'm even more radical. Yeah, I don't care if you're radical or not. Just somebody to help out poor Brett. Generally, I ignore the senseless mega. Oh, that was weird. The viewership just went down. Must have been like a mag farm left or a bot farm left. I'm a mod in a different tiny community and have mods in every stream. You need like 10 people. If Kelly had more mods, he could lift the chat filters a little bit on the restrictions. As far as I know, the only restriction I have is one word. This is how dumb host likes this gay guy socialism. In fact, the kissing cousin of communism, you can dress it up, put it. So you just said a bunch of blather. I'm becoming my father a moderator. Some of the comments are needlessly withheld. Okay. So government ownership of everything always gives you Pol Pot. Who's talking about government ownership of everything? Like, why do you guys have to? It's funny how you guys like sit there and you get all sensitive if we call Trump a fascist just because he's a fascist. And then you accuse us of being Pol Pot when we've said nothing at all resembling that. Because we think that children should get health care. You okay. I'm middle class and fine. Okay. That doesn't mean everybody. You are not the only person in America. When comments are withheld. All right. So I am got another person weighing in on the ketchup on hot dogs argument, which is probably, I think there's some bipartisanship going on here. That most people seem from both sides agree that ketchup on hot dogs in Chicago is frowned upon. The crazy comments I don't approve, and some are really disgusting. I'm glad that I don't have to see those, and I'm sorry you do. Ketchup on hot dogs is against. I don't like. When did that become such a thing? But Chicago puts pizza on the inside of the crust. Oh, you're talking about deep dish pizza is like amazing. I don't know if they put pizza. I don't think they put the crust on the outside though. They put like 400 pounds of cheese on it. Chicago pub style, yeah, and Chicago pub style pizza is way underrated. Chicago pub style pizza, like as a regular crust pizza, is I think it's better than New York pizza, than Brooklyn style pizza. It's really, really good. It's underrated. Everybody thinks that Chicago pizza has to be deep dish, but the Chicago pub style pizza is much better than New York's. Asking, and then, I mean, that's my opinion, and I'm sticking with it. Asking if Trump will lie tonight is like asking if the Earth will orbit the sun tomorrow. There's a very good chance that it will. Funny how Chicago puts tomatoes on their hot dogs, but ketchup is legal. Unless it's Geno's East. You don't like Geno's? I paid $6.42 for a single slice last night, plus 15% tip, even though it was from over the counter. Brett, if I ever meet you in real life, I'm going to make you a pizza from fresh milled flour, and you will have the best pizza in your life. Wowza Kelly is way, but I'm trying to catch up now. I'm like way behind. So what time is it? It is right now. Yeah. 5:21 versus. So I'm down to 24 minutes. I've cut down. Okay. Calzones are good, but that's not pizza. Funny how Chicago puts tomatoes. Okay. I'm just scrolling down here. Plus, he's restreaming, so he's actually seeing the comments and responding to the ones that have been blocked here on YouTube. Oh, some of the ones I'm seeing are blocked. I'm sorry, I didn't realize that. Why it's wrong because you're forcing someone else to work their lives away. Painful, your kid living in this world when you should take care of him. I have no idea what that means. I don't know what you're talking about. It's wrong because you're forcing someone else to work their lives away. Painful, your kid living in this world when you should take care of him, you idiot. I don't know what that means. The second YouTube sees someone call Libby, libtard, Democrats, etc., it's just in the trash 80% of the time, but TDS makes it through 100%. But if those things are your talking point, you're kind of picking on yourself and you don't even know it. Verizon Wireless cuts 3,000 jobs, selling 274 stores. Wow. Are you truly that stupid? I don't know. If I'm so stupid, why can't you actually challenge me on substance? Trump is a nuclear bomb. He drops a nuclear bomb several times a day in his pants. Trump has taught the little countries of the world that if they don't have nukes, a big country like the United States can just come in and take and attack them anytime they don't like the policies. And that's basically what it is. And he's also trying to tell countries that if they don't endorse him, then if they don't, the other countries with nukes, that if they don't go along with him, then he's going to attack them or punish them. He wants to be king of the world. He's not happy being king of America. He wants to be king of the world. Mexico sent emergency rescuers to the Texas floods last year while Trump was president and not sending help. Yep. If Iran had the nuclear weapons, we would not have bombed them as haphazardly as we did. Now they know they need one more than ever. It's not an unfair statement. Like if you want to, if you want, nothing to convince people that they need to defend against a threat like invading them. Philadelphia Mint has started production on new $1 coin with Trump on it, release set for this fall. And nobody has ever done this. Nobody's ever released currency with their face on it before while they were president. The man is a narcissist beyond anything that we've had before. Like he is unhinged. And why do people keep just going along with everything he did? I can't imagine if Obama had released a coin with his face on it. The feces throwing on the set of Fox and Friends would have been furious and fast and frenetic. It would have been just nuts, their reaction, because it is nuts. They would have been right to do so. But instead, they're putting commercials for it. Trump allowed North Korea to get nuclear weapons in his first term because the psychiatrist in Korea did a profile on him and sent a complimentary love letter saying he was a better president than Obama. And then he kept the love letter. As soon as North Korea got their nuclear weapons, Trump stopped threatening to bomb them. Small nations look at this and then learn they have to have nukes. Countries like Venezuela used to just count on the U.S. being a trustworthy, benevolent neighbor. Now they all probably think they need nukes because of Trump. And he's like this Trump doctrine that basically says that everybody on this side of the globe has to do what he says. The left is insane with hate. And see, then you just get these incoherent criticisms. Like, you can't address any specific criticism of Trump, even though they are vast and detailed. But yeah, the left is insane with hate. No, you're insane with your infatuation with Trump. He's like murdering American citizens, and you're like cheering it on. And I'm the one that's insane. Trump has taught the right wing that all of his lies are truth and all the truth is fake news. Imagine being so gullible when you can just do a search on the internet to find out the facts and then just calling the facts lies. I don't know. I mean, it's like, I think here's a way to find out if you have TDS. All right. Open your eyes. And when you open your eyes, are you staring at the inside of your own colon? If the answer is no, you have TDS. If you have your head so far up your ass that all you see is your own colon, then you don't have TDS. And yes, when I say TDS, I'm being sarcastic. Because apparently TDS means that you like actually see the real world around you. Sorry, let me turn this off. I would love the FBI to investigate Joe Biden before he passes away of old age and see if he did commit treason when they opened the borders political. No, he didn't commit treason, and he didn't open the borders. What he did is he allowed people to seek asylum. He followed the law. And the last I checked, following the law is not committing treason. But you know what is committing treason? Sending an attack mob on the Capitol building to keep the results of the election from being verified so that you can continue to be president illegally. Donald Trump committed treason. J.D. Vance accuses Israel of manipulating U.S. public opinion to prolong war. Is Vance trying to jump ship? It's so funny. how they selectively point out other countries trying to manipulate public opinion, but then want to sit there and go, Russia, 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 Russia. Like that was all something made up. Yeah, the Mueller was appointed by Jeff Sessions, Donald Trump's DA. The whole investigation into Russia was led by a Republican lawyer appointed by a Republican district attorney and proven by a Republican Senate committee. There's no confusion in fellatio. Well, I don't know. There is some reports that Lindsey Graham actually died of an undiagnosed mushroom allergy. I don't know if it's true or not. Chicago pizza is gross. It's nothing but bread. Oh, you never had real, like, no. Yeah, I don't know what kind of Chicago pizza you had, but nobody would ever describe it that way. No, I've been to New York. I've had legit New York style pizza from New York stores. Like the I forget what they're called there, but like diners or pizzerias or whatever. I've had a lot of pizza. I've been to almost every state, and I've been to 36 countries on 4 different continents. And I've had pizza from most of the places I've been. It's kind of become a thing I do where I like different kinds of pizza, like Detroit style pizza, Chicago style pizza. I like New York style pizza. I just think that the Chicago pub style pizza is some of the best pizza I've had. I really pissed off Twitter one time because I made a joke. I was like, New York style pizza is great. Yeah, I can get it anytime I want. Just order Domino's. And boy, did New Yorkers, like, I think that might have been the most ratioed I ever got. It was before the word ratio existed, but I was certainly got ratioed on that one. What are we going to do when Trump gets his sycophants to say that Republicans won in races they did not win? And that's when the hell is going to break loose. Sent sunshine to Joel. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Nikki. Maybe more Americans should implement more fellatio into their daily lifestyle. We're gonna. You are insane. You are just as bad as MAGA. What am I saying that's insane? We believe truth over facts, Joe Biden. Oh, did Joe Biden say something silly? Did he misspeak? Oh my goodness. Donald Trump would never do something like that. You are a traitor to your own nation and to your own people. Okay. How? I'm not the one that backed a guy that tried to dismiss the results of the election. Donald Trump's teleprompter operator allegedly made $100,000 betting on Trump's speeches. Interesting. Okay. He completely opened the border. Absolutely. No, he didn't. That's just a factually wrong statement. We had border patrol. We had apprehensions. We had people returned. We had people deported. So it's an objectively, factually wrong statement. It's just pure hyperbole and insanity that you believe that. All right. So, oh no, Caroline Leavitt announces President Trump will attend World Cup final. Man, I feel for whatever team he endorses. All right. So we're all caught up on the comments. I had to jam through those. Thanks again, Brett, for all your work. I'm going to make Dusty a moderator after this, and then you'll have some more help. Thanks for agreeing to help out, Dusty. And anyway, I hope you guys have a lovely, lovely evening. And, if you watch Trump's speech, please do not play drinking games where every time he lies, you take a drink, because we don't need deaths from alcohol poisoning tonight. All right. I'll talk to you later. Have a good one.